Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GKR. It is match day number 2 of this playoff series, and it is time for heist. So every single game today is going to be played on that heist game mode. The maps are going to be Safe Zone, Kaboom Canyon, Bridge Too Far. I am your host, Panicast, joined by the amazing Duncan Brawl Stars. If you haven't already subscribed to Duncan on YouTube, make sure to do so. He does daily content, and he streams weekly there, so 100% make sure to do so because he is really entertaining. He makes ranked content, and I think that's something that you guys are interested in. And hello, Duncan. How are you doing today? We've had a 2-week reprieve. Are you ready?
I am ready, man. It's been a minute since we've casted together, Panda, but I'm ready to get back into it, man. Hopefully everybody enjoyed watching the Brawl Cup. I mean, it was some fantastic games. Maybe not as good of casters as Panda and I, but you know, you never, it's hard to rank all those guys. But anyway, NA didn't really put on there, so hopefully NA can start to put on now as we get into the second half of the BSC season. But I'm excited for some heist action today. Should be a lot of base races, a lot of fast-paced, high-energy action. So I'm looking forward to getting into it, Panda.
Indeed. We are going to be going into our draft soon, but the maps, like I mentioned, is Safe Zone, Kaboom Canyon, and Bridge Too Far. We fixed the sounds. We have actually a new setup for Duncan. So, like, if you look at the backdrop, he has like this amazing, shelf. He has that little bit of that neon Brawl Stars logo, the ranked logo going on. He got his kitty cat earphones. This druid is dripping right now, and I am all here for it.
Yeah, man. New setup, new me, all that good stuff, man. But the content's been going up, bro, and we are going to continue to bring that energy to the casting booth as well. So I'm fired up to get into it, man. The kitty cat headphones, they're going to do numbers, man. They're feeding families out here. I can't wait for everybody to see them on the main channel, too.
Indeed. And just looking at some of the matches that we have Kodo G versus Gadget Spam, then Mori Gaming versus Crumbs, Pioneers versus LC Esport, and 919 versus Space Station Gaming. Unfortunately, FA has decided to forfeit, so Tribe Gaming had a free win as a result. And the same thing has happened for Stamina, who have forfeited, where Motomamis get a free win. So that is unfortunate today, but that means that our schedule is going to be cut short by 2 matches. So instead of the 6 matches today, we're going to have 4 of them as we go into our draft between Code OG and Gadget Spam on Safe Zone. And on this map, we've seen Chuck doing a lot of different great things here. Duncan, how are you looking forward to this one?
I mean, just looking at the bans, I feel like a lot of the brawlers that do thrive in this current heist meta are the more base racy brawlers, but we've seen so many of those get banned out. We see Chuck out of here, Daryl, Miko, and Lily, so definitely a lot of the tankier options that kind of just roll straight onto that safe have been eliminated, so we might be seeing a little bit more control on the board. The one brawler that does kind of fit that bill that I haven't seen in the ban stage, though, it's going to be that Melody, and Gadget Spam we see is going to select the Melody into the bell from Code OG right there, so definitely think that is probably the best base race brawler left on the board, so not shocked to see Melody right there, and I believe that we'll probably be seeing a pretty fair amount of Melody today if I had to bet on it.
Yeah, for sure. And we saw a lot of explosive gameplay in the Brawl Cup, but unfortunately, it wasn't the case with the N18s. Hopefully, and this is going to be signifying the start of the second split. So hopefully we see a lot of different aggressive, more adept options coming in from all the teams involved. Bonnie's going to be coming out, and the rework of Bonnie makes it possible for her to get back into her cannon after she's used her super. So she can jump onto the high safe quite easily. She can also do damage from afar. She can be used for assassinations as well. But the major reason as to why you pick Bonnie on this map is long range, along with getting to the objective. Carl also satisfies similar niches as well, where he can get on the objective. The fire damage as well with the gadget just does a lot of damage to boot, and then you can also hide on the top right of the corner or the bottom left of the corner if you're the other team to constantly chip away the safe here. So all in all, I do like something from Code OG, but Gadget Spam I feel like definitely have the objective on mind with their draft.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Bonnie, I mean, that rework has completely changed the way that you play her now. She's still a pretty decent defensive brawler, especially when you use that gadget that increases your movement speed and reload speed. She can kind of farm super off of playing defense and then use that super to kind of launch herself onto the offensive end. She does a sneaky amount of damage even in that cannon form to the highest safe, so I do think it's a great option, but another great option into the Bonnie is going to be the Colette. That's a counter pick that we've seen from back when Bonnie was originally meta when she had first been released, so I think that the Colette makes a lot of sense, even though she is a little bit worse in the current heist meta with the way that the shield, the safe shield tiers work. I still think that she can definitely be a pretty good defensive brawler into the Bonnie. We see the Piper with the last pick right there, and we should be getting into it soon as we cut to our player cams right here. Can barely even see second best there, but he's there, guys. I can verify that. And here we go into game number 1 with the thumbs down coming out already.
And I just have to adjust the volume in my end. Apologies for that.
But we're going to see Code OG trying to get some of these traps down here. They're playing the range game so far. I mean, the only real dive brawler here is Melody. I guess you could technically dive with the Carl and with the Bonnie as well, but I feel like we're going to see a lot of jockeying for mid control right there as Vegeta's going to use an early curve to get OG on the back foot right there. We're going to see Code OG on the defensive end so far. Not really a whole lot of positioning or damage to speak of, but Gadget Spam is pushing up right now. They're getting pretty decent positioning, but Alianis can't do much from that angle.
Yeah, he obviously doesn't have that much range to compete against both Second and OG, but his objective here is to get his super. That's what he's going to be doing. There was a jump from Patch. He gets taken out, but there is a super coming in from Second Best. He gets to kill on Vegeta. Alianis goes in, ham on the save, gets a lot of damage in, and that's going to give a lead to Gadget Spam. They have 26% and have taken down the save for the first tier.
It's a pretty nice amount of damage, but it looks like Second is going to be taken down by Alianis, but he gets a little bit of damage in, maybe not as much as I had originally expected, as we see Code OG safe fall below 50% for this time. We do see Second using that flying hook gadget with the Carl hypercharge. That's going to be significant damage onto the safe, but still not really anywhere close to what Gadget Spam has been able to do with Code OG safe so far. We see Patchy coming up here with the super. Maybe he's going to be looking for a chance to jump in, but OG is going to be trying to stave him off for the time being, as he does so successfully.
Indeed, a good hypercharge from OG. Managed to take out one mark. Still, we're seeing Gadget Spam completely pushing Code OG all the way back into their spawn. We see Second Best trying to break away. He does use his gadget, gets taken out. A little bit of damage on the save, but they are still sufficiently behind. Patchy jumping in, getting a little bit of damage. They have managed to proc another shield, and this is looking really good for Gadget Spam, and it's looking from bad to worse for Code OG. With only 29 seconds and 50% left on their save, things are not looking up for them, Duncan.
Not looking up at all. We're going to see Charles trying to do something about that with the use of the gadget and the hypercharge, but he dies before he's able to get his body there. Luckily, his spirit, or whatever you want to call it, does a little bit of damage, but with the way that the safe works now, it's probably going to be too little too late. They're still going to have to pop that 25% shield, and with less than 10 seconds on the board, it's looking like it's probably not going to be in the cards right here. Patchy just doing as much as he can to distract, but indeed that is going to secure the win for Gadget Spam, a 20% victory in game number 1, and we're going to have to see Code OG get off to a little bit of a hotter start, I believe, if they want to win game number 2.
Yeah, the fact that Gadget Spam have 2 dive brawlers versus 1 brawler being for the objective for Code OG, I feel like does play into it a little bit. We also saw a lot more aggression coming in from the side of Gadget Spam, just pushing back Code OG repeatedly. So there needs to be a little bit of an adjustment to the strategy by Code OG as we go into the second game. First one was taken by Gadget Spam.
Absolutely, yep. We're going to see Gadget Spam is once again going to be going with the same lane assignments here. Aliana's just going to be trying to poke down from that lane to get a little bit of his supercharge up there, but Vegeta's going to be falling pretty weak right here. Charles likely going to be able to finish it off. Indeed he does, and he gets the super off there. Alianas falls as well, and this is the type of start that Code OG needed. Patchy does manage to slide behind the line there, but not able to get real significant damage. But I mean, overall, still not a huge damage lead for the side of Code OG. They've got to start getting the safe down pretty quickly here.
Indeed, I fixed your volume now. You're all good. Alianis gets taken down. That is unfortunate for Gadget Spam. And in this game, Code OG has had a better start. Second has positioned himself in a position where it's really hard for the members of Gadget Spam to take him out. And it's been a menace on the right-hand side. Damage is rolling in. Charles is able to proc the safe once more. And Alianis finally has dispatched Second Best. Vegeta does have a jump, goes for it, breaks open the wall. It's going to make it easier to get people like Charles down, but Second pops his hypercharge, keeps Charles up, goes in on the save, gets fire damage as well, and they are surely going to be proccing another shield on the save. It's looking really great for Code OG as Gadget Spam are not even in the competition.
It is looking fantastic for Code OG right now. They've basically held control this entire time. They haven't let Alianis or Patchy slip behind their line of defense. And that's really going to be the story of the game right here. They are going to use the Colette hypercharge there, but it's only going to get 6% because the safe was on 51. That high shield really blocked a lot of it, so maybe not the best value that he could have asked for right there, but OG's popping hypercharge. He's trying to kill Alianis right here. Second is going to be using his flying hook to try to establish some positioning, but either way, only 40 seconds left on the clock. Patchy's going to be going for the Hail Mary play, but it seems like it might not be enough as Alianis triggers every single bell trap with that hypercharge. he's going to be getting slowed down. A lot of damage dealt to him, but he is getting some damage onto the safe finally. The question is it too late?
Indeed, it certainly looks like that might be the case. 23 seconds left. They need to get one more shield proc as well, but they have positioning, they have control, and we have seen Patchy come out of worse situations in the past.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I mean, it's looking like there's only 10 seconds left. Vegeta's going to be trying to get some of that damage in, but they're still going to have to get it below that 50% shield. Patchy indeed does, but he's going to go down. Allian is trying to get what he can, and it's just barely not enough. If there was 10 more seconds on the clock, we might have seen a different outcome there, but definitely a very, very good bounce back from CodeOG right there to tie us up at 1.
Indeed, it's going down to the wire. It's 1-1. We have a sudden death for this last game. The first set is going to go to the winner of this final game here. And it is a best of three. So getting this win is so important. It sets the tone. It sets the momentum for the team that won the first set.
Absolutely. Best of 3 is definitely going to amplify the mistakes there. You don't really have as much time to come back, but we're into game number 3. Winner is going to take our first set right here. We see a little bit of a different strategy here. Patchy moving up to the right side rather than Alianis, who is going to be playing back on Charles. Melody versus the Colette right there. Charles already does have a super online. Doesn't want to get too aggressive and use that and die right there, but we saw the curve come out from Vegeta, getting OG quite weak right here. Patchy's using this wall to his advantage as Charles finally gets that super off, and Second's going to go in. He's going to get a kill, and that's going to be a lot of pressure for CodeOG.
Yeah, Aliyah is trying to take down Second, but he is not going to be able to do that. Second is going to be available and not denied on the right-hand side. He's going to be a huge annoyance as well. CodeOG just going to be able to tap the opponents up. These bounce shots are going to be a huge problem, as there is a hypercharge being popped by Second to get the kill, but Patchy's able to get the kill on an OG by jumping out. Gets taken out by Charles himself as well. Second still very much alive, being a big nuisance, and has managed to take down Alianis once more. It is crazy how much pressure and presence this guy has on the map.
I don't know how he survived that long. I thought he was going to be dead 15 seconds ago, but either way, that's going to be almost 50% damage, and that's going to be the first scratch onto the safe of CodeOG right here. So definitely CodeOG's game to lose as we see that first shield be popped. Alianis has hypercharge, so he's using it at very low HP, which might not be the best case scenario, but he somehow is sliding through here, almost able to secure a double kill. And that's going to pretty much even up the game right there. Absolutely insane wiggles from Alianis.
Crazy. We are at parity in terms of the shield. There is a slight lead for the side of CodeOG, but Gadget Spam are not going to be relenting. They're not going to take this line down as they get back on the point where they are going to be able to get some damage. And just like that, they are within striking distance of getting the lead, but Second best popping a Gadget, gets the super as well, gets the kill on a Vegeta, and has popped the shield. But on the other side, the same thing can be said about Gadget Spam. It is a dead heat.
We've got an even game coming down to the wire right here. 24% on CodeOG, 22% on Gadget Spam right now. Patchy's going to be trying to secure that kill. He gets back into cannon form, but they're just going to need 1 or 2 shots to be able to take this lead here. It's still not over, though. Second could have a flying hook ready to go. Vegeta's going to be jumping back, and with 10 seconds left, it's going to be a 1% lead for Gadget Spam.
Patchy needs a super. He jumps in, but CodeOG and look, Second are going in. They're able to take out the save 4%, and that is going to be the set for CodeOG. Gadget Spam they completely shut down in the final seconds there.
That was an insane finish right there. We just saw the safe ticking down below 10% at the exact same time, 3%, 4%, and somehow Second best and CodeOG are able to come out on top of that situation right there. Absolutely electric set number 1 of Safe Zone, and I cannot wait to see what Kaboom Canyon in set number 2 is going to bring for us. These two teams look very, very, very evenly matched so far. We're going to have to see what type of tricks they can pull out from the draft right here, but I kind of liked watching these two teams play without any of the super cheesy brawlers like the Chuck, like the Monkey. I feel like it's a little bit of a higher skill game, and I really enjoyed what we saw there.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot more of Heist for the rest of this day, obviously, because it is the Heist day for GKR, and that means that we're going to see a lot of different strategies involved. It is still early days for this new Heist meta with the rework of Heist itself, so we're going to see different strategies coming to the fore, but a lot of the times what I've seen, at least from the Brawl Cup and what I've seen in the past month, is aggressive compositions that keep on hammering in and going in on the safe are the ones which that do best. And despite, I guess, the intention for the Heist rework, it's still very base racy, and I would say that it's even more base racy than before.
I don't completely disagree with that. I know a lot of people in my community were saying that instead of this, they just wanted the safe to get a buff of a HP buff.
I
And honestly,
Mhm.
I think that even that with like maybe a combination of this could be the sweet spot that they're looking for. I don't think that this is the last change to the high safe that we're going to
Mhm.
see, but I agree with what you said. It does still feel quite base racy. I think that the brawlers that really benefit the most from the change are going to be things like Miko and Chuck that can kind
Mm.
of get in and get out. Like they don't necessarily have to full commit like a Crow hypercharge or a Colette hypercharge. Those are the brawlers that we've seen fall off a little bit. So it's a little bit of nuance, but definitely still, if there's a base, then it's going to be raced.
Oh, nice. I like it. This guy got bars, man. We're gonna go into our second set here. We do have the player cams, and it looks like most of the players here are quite confident. Still don't know what second best is conjuring, but it seems like they are conjuring doves, which is what they got in the last set. Maybe a little bit more of that bad juju for gadget spam is what they need.
Second's gonna pull out that dark magic for this next draft. Can't wait to see what he ends up going with here, but always love to see the player cam, see these guys in their element right here. After playing at a LAN, I'm sure for Patchy and Vegeta at least, it's probably pretty relaxing to play out of their homes right here. But we are going into set number 2, guys. Like we said, Kaboom Canyon is gonna be our map, and our bans are Lumi, Angelo, Chuck, Amber, Carl, and Spike. So some less conventional bans coming in from Gadget Spam. Obviously very used to seeing Angelo, Lumi, and Chuck banned out if you played any ranked recently. But Amber is definitely a brawler who is pretty menacing now with that hypercharge. Either way though, the first pick of the draft is going to be a Finks, which is pretty good for control. It's not necessarily the best for safe damage though, so you can kind of see what type of comp Gadget Spam might be cooking up here.
I mean, Miko's open, but I don't really think Miko would do that well on a map such as this one when it's open. So that might not be the best situation here. But we don't have the mid to long range control here. We do have one, I mean, for Code OG, and they go for that exactly. Lola has a lot of guaranteed damage on the safe and the objective as well when you get to that point, but it's great for just shutting down brawlers from moving on to the mid. And once you get mid control and the grass control, it's so important to just keep at it. That's one of the reasons why Amber has been banned out, because once the grass is removed from the equation, you can't have those sneaky plays, and Colette's going to be picked up next by Gadget Spam.
Yep, I definitely think the Colette pick makes a lot of sense. I mean, even though we were just talking about how she's not as fantastic with the heist rework, she still does a ton of damage. She's still a good counter into the Bonnie, and I think that's really what Colette's role is going to kind of be in this upcoming meta. I like the Lola pick a lot too. Definitely a little bit underrated in my opinion. In heist and in hot zone, I feel like you can get a good amount of value out of the Lola pick, but she's one that kind of slips under the radar. But that Lily pick is something that we've seen a ton of, especially in gem grab. But I mean, in heist, she can be very good as well. With that gadget, she can kind of slip behind enemy lines, get a ton of safe damage right there. And then, of course, somehow, Melody does make it to the last pick. Maybe not, actually. I guess we're going to see Atara there instead. We'll see which one ends up being in the draft. I am a little bit surprised that Melody didn't get picked or banned, if that's going to end up being the case. But what do you think about these comps?
I like Kodoji's composition. I just feel like the Lily is so scary, but if the Lily gets on a Terra, it's basically curtains for her. But otherwise, getting on the objective is much easier with the Lily, I feel, and then Colette with her super as well. Not 100% convinced by that Terra pick here, but I guess it is to safely lock down the mid for Kodoji.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I feel like I don't really love the Finks first pick, but I mean, I'm willing to be proven wrong here. I have personally not played a whole lot of Finks, so I might not be the best player to judge it, but I've seen a lot of the EU teams have been absolutely spamming him, but I just don't think Heist is going to be it. But either way, into game number 1 of set number 2, Gadget Spam is going to be on the back foot down a set so far, but Vegeta is already getting to work on that Finks. We see the Bonnie jump, and Second is not going to be able to clear that second wall, so he is going to end up going down here. OG trying to hold it down, but Alianis is going to make him waste that super, and although he's not going to go for the safe right now, they're just going to be comfortable kind of holding control of this grass for the time being, Pan.
Yeah, that kill was huge for Alianis. It allowed Patchy to get back in the mix of things and gives them a lot more control. Otherwise, that control was going to be firmly rested on the side of Code OG, especially once OG did have that Megalomaniac down. So good job from him. He also had another super, so he can go in the safe here, but he's forced Code OG to be on the defensive. Jump coming in from Bonnie. He's going to be able to go on the objective on the other side, and now we see the Finks having to change their approach here.
Yeah, OG is going to do a fantastic job dealing with Alianis, though. And we actually saw Charles use that super to kind of break up the wall. So they're going to have a little bit of an easier time getting into the mid for the rest of the game. Definitely not something to overlook as Alianis pops into the bush. Charles may or may not be ready for it. It looks like he's going to be able to somehow survive that. OG, with the use of the hypercharge, going to be taking a somewhat significant damage lead on the safe. They're trying to get it down to that 50% shield, but Charles has hypercharge, and that's all three of them. That's going to be a lot of damage coming in here, at least below 50%.
He tried all three of them. Aliana survived, but he got taken out at the end. It's just disgusting coming in from Code OG there. Charles with another pull, but he gets taken out by Alianis. That's unfortunate. But still, we have second on the safe, just peppering it, trying to get that last shield. Obviously, not gonna happen here as he gets taken out. And now Gadget Spam have to work from behind. It looks so great for them for a moment there, but that one hypercharge changed everything. The purple button meta, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you see Atara, you got to know what she's going for. And the triple pull is definitely not what Gadget Spam needed right here. They have a lot of work to do, down by 50%. Having to use supers on defense, too, is definitely not going to be a recipe for success here. And with the clock ticking down to 10, I just don't think it's going to be enough time right here. That is more than likely going to be game number 1 going to Code OG, and that is already going to put us on a match point right here, Panda.
Yeah, they're completely blowing away Gadget Spam. I don't know, man. I feel like Vegeta, he's been at Dallas this entire weekend. He's been used to that zero ping all the time. We saw how he was cooking Zeta with his Piper on Bridge Too Far. And honestly, I think that going back to Winnipeg, going back to Canada now, he's not used to that 200 ping anymore, man. He is struggling right now.
It's definitely nice to have that low ping. A little known fact about my move, Panda. I'm actually pretty close to the server myself now, so we'll have to see if I can go pro now. But either way, getting into the game here, Gadget Spam with their backs against the walls are gonna have to pull out a dub here if they want to stay alive for the day. But I mean, Vegeta is going to be falling down quite weak here. Alianis is going to be very weak as well, and now we might see some damage start to come in from OG and Charles. No super to speak of for Charles as of right now, taking a page out of second best book with the thumbs down. But they have a tiny damage lead, but most importantly, they have control of the bush for now.
Indeed, Aliana is shrouding himself in the other zone, gets taken out by Charles almost immediately coming out of that zone, so that is unfortunate for him. Miss super from Patchy, that might be costly for them. He has popped his gadget, not able to get any value from the gadget either. Vegeta find the kill onto OG, but sorry, onto Charles, gets taken down himself by OG. Jump coming in from second. He's gonna get some more damage on the objective. Aliana is going in. OG goes down, Aliana as well, and now it's gonna be a mano-a-mano between Vegeta and Charles, and that super from Vegeta is able to take down Charles almost immediately. Bush on the side of Gadget Spam.
Yep, they have mid control right now, but still haven't touched the safe yet. Obviously, Alianis might be able to get up there with the use of a gadget. Not too sure where he stands as far as that goes, but Charles is going to use that hypercharge pull, breaking up a significant amount of the middle of the map and going to allow his team to push up here. Alianis using the hyper, but OG shuts him down. And it seems like the Lola might be a pretty solid counter into the Lily from what I've seen so far. Definitely taking a page out of OG's book the next time I'm in a rank draft. But I mean, so far, it's looking like it's going to be a little bit tough for them to catch up right now. Patchy's trying to do what he can on the defensive end. Vegeta and Alianis moving up the right. But a second has super, Charles has super. There's so much utility on the side of Code OG still.
Yeah, just getting on the objective is so important, and second was able to do that repeatedly. Then you have all of the control coming in from OG in the mid. Charles as well, when he gets his super, is allowed to cook as well. And it's just happening over and over again. Gadget Spam completely being dipped by this draft that they cooked up.
I think so too. I mean, I don't want to self-glaze too hard, but I feel like the Finks hasn't really provided a whole lot except for being able to kill Bonnie after a jump. But Alianis is trying to make something happen here. We see the super come in from Patchy, and we're going to be tied up just like that with one Colette super. Vegeta is on the safe as well, but it looks like that's going to be enough, I believe, unless Code OG is able to get 17% here. We're going to see Gadget Spam take this to game number 3 of that set. Out of nowhere, Patchy with the hypercharge super to bring them back single-handedly. They just played barely enough defense to be able to hang in that game and then clutch it up at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it is still match point for Code OG, but Gadget Spam is showing us signs of life, and it's looking quite good right now. I do like the way Alianis does play that Lily. He plays it so effectively, getting those supers off onto second and onto OG to take him out with his Megalomania. We're going to go to game number 3 of this second set here. A win here for Code OG is going to cement their, I guess, their win. That's so dumb to
Yeah.
say, but yeah, that's basically what it is.
And we're tracking though, and Charles is gonna have his super ready already as well. So maybe looking to pull Alianis here. He's going to super nothing. A little bit of a predictive super there from Alianis on the Lily, and it's not gonna pay off this time. But Vegeta uses that teleport gadget to be able to get a kill onto OG. So bush control is going to stay on the side of gadget spam for the time being. Hachi is going to brick the super though, and that is not what you want to see. That's a lot of damage left on the table right there, and Second is going to try to capitalize. He's going behind enemy lines as Charles and OG pinch from the right and left side, and it looks like gadget spam is kind of falling right there, but I think we'll see a little bit of a reset with, once again, barely any damage dealt.
Indeed, when Patchy went down, the first thought that came to my mind is Unk still got it anyway. Aliana's going in the shroud. Gets a kill on OG. That's huge. He does get taken out. Big super coming in from Patchy on the save. Vegeta is puts down his super as well. It's going to be able to put down Second very low as well. Charles surely going to be taken out, but nope, manages to survive. Jump coming in from Second. Hypercharged by Aliana. Finds one. Finds the Second as well. This is great for Gadget Spam. They have good control, and now they might be able to get that first shield off on a Code OG save, but they are still in the lead.
Looks like Patchy's lining it up a little bit better this time with the hypercharge. That's going to be significant right there, but he does get pulled. Somehow slimes out of it a little bit, but Charles is somehow going to be able to fully cycle out super there. So Vegeta's definitely got to watch his back here. OG and Charles hiding in the middle bush, and I mean, it's still pretty close. It's definitely not over yet. Anybody's game. Patchy with a... Well, he's going for a pick off there with the Colette super, but not really going to result in much. Positioning on the side of Code OG. This is going to be difficult to push through, but they are still in the lead. The side of Gadget Spam is.
Yeah, I mean, Code OG can just hold control here and go for a draw. They just need to get this nice super off, but Alian is going in. He is shrouded. He gets taken out. No, he gets taken out. There's a jump coming in from Second. He is able to get on the save, not able to pop that shield just yet. Now, OG and Charles should be able to make something happen here. Charles goes in, gets a pull off onto onto Alianis, going in for some more safe damage, but on the other side, so is Gadget Spam. They're taking down the save. It is 74% to 72, 2%, and that is going to go the way of Gadget Spam. They've tied this up at 1 each in the set score.
That was so close, man. You don't see much closer than that. 2% separating these two teams on Kaboom Canyon. Those games were super back and forth, but somehow, after getting pretty dominated in game number 1, Gadget Spam is going to come out on top of that. Absolutely crazy stuff right there. The heist shields, the heist safe shield was their best friend at the end of that game, but definitely came down to the wire. And we have seen two very, very even sets between these two teams. I can't wait to see what Bridge Too Far brings us, but I feel like it might be a 3-set game.
You know, honestly, I thought this might have been a stomp, but it's not. It's proven to be a very interesting match. It's very back and forth. I like the way the teams are played. There are a little bit of some shenanigans here and there, and some kerfuffles, like Patchy kissing the wall instead of the save. You know, that's not something that you expected this level of gameplay, but it does happen. So they need to clean up a little bit of that as they go into Bridge Too Far, which is a very long-range map and less cover as compared to Kaboom Canyon, and obviously you don't have as many walls as safe zone. So a lot of different strategies involved in Bridge Too Far, but the overarching idea is you got to get that safe down.
Yeah, I mean, Bridge Too Far is kind of one of those maps where I feel like you either go with the range or you just completely abandon range and just go things like Miko, Daryl that can kind of just get straight onto the safe. Lily is another one of those options as well. Of course, Chuck and Melody are still going to be permanently in the heist meta right here, but if you aren't going to go with the snipers, you might as well go with the safe damage dealers. So I feel like that's the type of strategy we'll see. I feel like in the early part of the draft, we'll likely see some brawlers like Belle, maybe Colette, that can kind of play a little bit of their range here, have a little bit of defensive capabilities. But another thing to keep in mind is that there's so much water on this map. So all of the brawlers that are able to fly over the water are going to have a pretty significant advantage. For that reason, I'd expect a good amount of them, especially Angela, to be banned out here.
Indeed, and one brawler that we did mention earlier is Chuck, that you can just get in and get out and you don't really need to worry all that much. But if you're the other team, you have to worry about it quite a lot. I feel like this map also, because of the fact that there are these walls in the mid, Miko is something that could possibly be picked up by teams as well, though the risk is going to be obviously a little bit higher because it's obviously not Pit Stop, which has enough cover to Miko to be a huger threat and a much more capable threat.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I mean, the brawlers that you absolutely can't let slip here would definitely include Melody and Chuck. I feel like if there's a Chuck on the field, the Chuck is definitely going to win. So no shot that that is able to slide. I think Angelo is probably a must ban if the other team has first pick as well. I mean, especially with that star power that speeds him up on the water. He's going to be an absolute menace, but our bans are finally through. It's going to be Melody, Bonnie, Piper, Angelo, and Lumi, with Melody getting banned by both teams out here. So somehow the Chuck is actually going to be on the board, Panda. Are we going to see it picked first? And yeah, not even going to think about it. Kodo G is going to be locking in the train. I am dumbfounded that Gadget Spam is letting that slide.
Yeah, I feel like it's a no-brainer ban, right? But and they're going for it. But Colt's going to be coming out from Gadget Spam, and if they do have an adept Colt who is able to beam down the opponents, then I don't think this is a bad pick whatsoever. It is very, very strong, and the damage output by this brawler is crazy. But every brawler that has crazy burst and has crazy damage is going to be limited a little bit by that high save. So it's obviously something to consider as they have this next pick here.
Yeah, I'm curious if they'll go for a Cordelius or a Charlie for defense, but they're actually going to do the exact opposite of what I'm saying. They're going to grab the Miko bright and early in this draft. I mean, I feel like it does make sense. They want that safe damage. They want to be able to base race against the Chuck. And I think that's kind of what they're going for here. Maybe they were willing to give up the Chuck, and they're just going to take 3 brawlers that they believe can burst down the safe faster. We'll see if Kodo G goes more for additional safe damage or if they're going to try to play some defense here. But definitely some interesting high-level analysis coming in on the draft right here. I mean, it seems like both teams are going to be running straight for that safe.
Yep, they have good objective control here. They just need to get a little bit more control in the map or something to back up their their damage dealer here. But honestly, I feel like just keeping the other 2 brawlers at bay is probably the path forward. It's gonna be a little easier for Chuck to get on the safe, but the damage that Miko can output on the safe is kind of crazy. It's generationally devastating if you get a Miko on your safe.
Yeah, and it's pretty hard to keep him off considering he can jump over any attack in the game. But Kodo G is going to finish up their draft with a Bell and a Lola, so it seems like they probably are going to be trying to play a little bit more defense. Let the Chuck do all the base racing on his own right there. So with 1 pick left on the board for Gadget Spam, I see 2 different strategies kind of forming here.
Yeah, I definitely see that. There's a lot of damage coming in from Lola. Bella is also going to be able to mark up people. It's still going to be hard to really address the Miko. Miko can also jump in on the Megalomaniac and take it out in 1 shot. This last pick from Gadget Spam is going to be pivotal. Not 100% sure what they've picked here. They go for Eve. Eve is an interesting pick here. She's going to have those hatchlings and those spawners, which will keep spawning more hatchlings to get your hypercharge, so that is a consideration. But honestly, I feel like most of these brawlers on Kodo G side can more or less handle it without any issues, honestly.
I agree with that. The Eve feels like a pretty safe pick, I guess. Like, she doesn't get super hard countered, but Bella and Lola can hang. But either way, guys, going into set number 3, we're tied up at 1 apiece right here. And it's going to be Second trying to get his post down immediately. Patchy is not going to let him do any more than he's already got done. But it's really just going to be a matter of time before those posts get set up. OG trying to clear out a little bit of space. And that's going to be Patchy dealt with very quickly.
Indeed, but he already got 10% on the save. That's kind of crazy. Eve Hastings on the right-hand side, but Second gets a kill on Alianis. That's huge. Vegeta going down as well. Patchy's going to be back on the point, but he's very low. He's going up against the old Unk versus the new Unk here, and he gets taken out. There are kills coming out. Flurry of them. Alianis and Second get taken out as well. It's looking really good for Kodo G in terms of map control and in terms of the damage that they've output already.
Yep, but here comes Patchy trying to do a little bit of damage of his own right there. Not too sure how much defense you want to be playing if you are Patchy right here, but he's just trying to bait out a couple of shots, make some room for his team right now. Alianis is going to be doing the same. That super comes through from Vegeta with the hypercharge. It's going to be a pretty significant amount of damage, but they're still down by an entire 25% pretty much right here. Not looking the best for Gadget Spam.
Indeed, and they've completely left the Chuck to his own devices, but while that's okay, it's just like they're really far behind right now. There's a hypercharge coming from Alianis. That means that you're going to have a lot more Patchy's going to be in. OG is going to be taken down by Patchy. Charles might be the next to follow suit. The save does get procced once, and we see Patchy coming down after that. He's going to be lagging. No, it's over. It's game over.
Yeah, if you are gonna start the first half of the game and you're not winning against the Chuck, you're in a lot of trouble because the Chuck, there's nothing you can really do to stop him. Once he has his post set up, like, he's gonna get onto the safe eventually. So you really have to win the first half of that game if you're playing up against a Chuck. And we just did not see Gadget Spam able to kind of do that. It's gonna be a pretty easy win for Kodo G. They're gonna need to mix up the strategy going into game 2.
Yeah, I really don't like that Eve. They just don't have a way to press her on one of the lanes, and that's the Eve lane. Every single time we see Eve being pushed back here, and OG did a number on the Colt on the other side. Second still not set up, but Patchy getting taken up is huge. Now second going in, he's going to be able to set up his last post on the safe, and it's already a great start coming in for Code OG. Gadget Spam are in a really tough spot here.
Yeah, that's to say the least. I mean, they have not really got any type of motion going so far. Also, an unsung hero this set. OG is playing some absolutely spectacular defense with the Lola. This is the second time we've seen him pull out the Lola, but he is beaming and keeping these people off of his safe. Patchy goes in for a little bit of damage, but I mean, we are more or less tied up right here, and Second has his post set up exactly the way he wants it. It's going to be pretty difficult for Gadget Spam to outlast the Chuck at this point, but Patchy's going to be taking to the skies, trying to do something about that. We see a million Eve babies coming through, so this might be the opening that they needed.
And Alpha get dispatched right away, 25 to 51. It's favoring Code OG massively, as Second is not taking any prisoners. He's still on the safe on the other side, though. We see this safe being procced. Oh, it's not going to matter. It's going to be Code OG taking that dub there.
That is. I feel like it's just kind of lost in the draft right there, man. You can't let the team get Chuck on Bridge Too Far. Like, you can't let people get Chuck in Heist in general. And Bridge Too Far is probably the map that he thrives on the most. So I'm not, a little bit befuddled that they wouldn't ban it out, but they're going to pay the price for it. Hopefully they learn from next time. But either way, a very well-earned win to Code OG.
Indeed. And I guess one of the biggest confusion points for me is that if you are facing a Chuck and you have a brawler like, say, a Miko on your team, you would want something like a Charlie or maybe even a Cordelis to shut that Chuck down, because otherwise the Chuck is just going to keep going ham. And it's very hard on this map in particular for the Miko to go on the high safe and, you know, do the Miko stuff. So the monkey couldn't get up to the monkey business that it wanted, and Code OG took the dub there.
Yeah, I think that the Eve pick wasn't the best either. I mean, they take a control brawler, but when the Chuck's on the field, there's just really not too much control to speak of. But that's enough about Gadget Spam's shortcomings in the draft right there. They'll take the 1-2 loss to Code OG and they'll move on. Very good team. I'm sure they'll bounce back, but that's going to be game number 1 done for the day. We're going to take a quick break before moving into game number 2, which is going to be Mori Gaming versus Crumbs. Two teams that I feel are both pretty underrated, could definitely provide for a pretty banger matchup here.
We'll see you guys in 3 minutes.
Yep.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GKR NA 2025. We are on match day number 2. We finished one match. We have 3 more to go. 2 of them are going to be forfeits, and right now we have Mori Gaming versus Crumbs. Mori Gaming has Alex, Sunny, and Z. Crumbs have Banny, Falcon, and Ormy, and I don't see Zemp here. I guess he was benched, so, you know, hashtag bench Zemp. That's how we go.
Yeah, it's got to be the beard, I think, but I don't know. I think he played pretty well last time, so a little bit surprised to see the starting lineup change up here. But Crumbs is sitting at 1-0 throughout our first day. Mori, on the other hand, is 0-1, so definitely a huge day for both of these teams, trying to get on the leaderboard for Mori, and Crumbs trying to make a statement. If they can go 2-0, definitely going to send some shockwaves through the NA community. So a lot of stuff to play for here as we go into day 2, which is going to be Heist, the same 3 maps that we saw in the match number 1. But what are you expecting from this one, Panda?
I don't know. We saw Crumbs doing quite well, right? Mori Gaming is the only team, I guess, so far which has failed to win a single set on the first match day. But it's, again, just the first match day, so that's not all that we have to really talk about there. But they are up against Crumbs, and that's still, you know, not going to be easy because Crumbs have shown that they can take out much tougher opponents. So I feel like, you know, just going based off the previous match day, I'm probably Team Crumbs, but I can see I see the vision. I see the vision. I see Sunny and Alex and Melu and Z cooking. They are definitely adept and they have that capability. And, you know, honestly, I think it's gonna be anybody's game, but I'm here for it. This is the uprise of NA.
Yeah, I think that 2 teams like this also are definitely not going to be above kind of thinking outside of the box with their drafts here. I mean, there's a lot of different brawlers that you can go in Heist that kind of change the course of the game. There's a lot of off-meta picks that you can kind of do for different strategies, whether it be control or just kind of going for the base race right there. So with a team that isn't as well established, hasn't really done as many draft or scrims as like a team like Tribe Gaming, you might see some of those picks coming out. Looking forward to seeing a little bit of strategy mix up as we're going to be going into set number 1, which is going to be on Safe Zone.
Indeed, and I'm looking forward to this one, honestly. I saw some of I believe I saw Sunny at Brawl Cup, so he was at Dallas meeting up with all of the pro players and content creators, and I feel like going for these these LAN events, especially the international LAN events, is a huge deal because I went there in Paris, right? I got to meet a lot of people, got to see how esports teams operate, how content creators operate. You get to see a little bit about the Supercell staff as well, so that's like a great experience. And I feel like, you know, you're gonna have people like Alex and Sunny and all these guys being very, very motivated going forward. As we go into our draft here, the bans are going to be Melody, Angelo, Chalk. So the train is gone, as is Eve. The Pyromaniac's gone, as well as the domestic abuse person, Bell. I don't know. I feel like Sam gets beaten up a lot. Bonnie's going to be the first pick for Crumbs, and Mori Gaming go for Miko as a response.
Gotta say, I've never seen that nickname before, but maybe I'll have to bring that into the next video I got here. But Bonnie is a brawler that we've seen get gobbled up in all of these drafts so far. Definitely, it seems like the pros are enjoying her since this rework. I definitely agree with that, though. But once again, every time we see a Bonnie on one team, we see the Colette come through for the other team. So it seems like that is most of these players' counter of choice. I like the Miko as well, though, on Safe Zone. Easy to get up that right side, jumping over those unbreakable walls. But we see a little bit more of a defensive brawler come off the board for Crumbs with the Griff, and then they're going to add Lily for a little bit of that aggression and safe damage.
Indeed, you see Smiles coming in from the Crumb squad here. They kind of know what they're doing here. Lily is going to be cooking. Obviously, you're going to be able to get on the objective. Mori Gaming, on the other hand, I like their idea here, right? You get the 8-bit, you get the turret down, you allow the Colette to just go ham on that safe there. There's so much damage going to be coming in from Mori Gaming. But the problem is that the Colette is limited by the amount of damage that she can do by her hypercharge and also the heist safe. So that is a consideration as well. But the amount of damage that Mori Gaming can output is going to be crazy. But the hypercharge Griff is a huge consideration for me.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of those shutdown defensive brawlers that they kind of need. But we're into game number 1. Vinquiqui's going to be going straight for the safe, as we've seen Lily's do quite a fair amount. He's getting a lot of damage right there, almost able to take down Sunny, but with the help of Z, he's going to end up going down. Alex is just trying to buy a little bit of time up in that top corner, and Falcon is having none of that. He's going to blow that up, take that out of consideration for the rest of the game. Didn't even really think about that when the Griff came off the board, but definitely good use for his utility there.
Ooh, jump coming in from Orm. He's starting to get on the objective. Slows from Alex. They're able to dispatch him, and there is a kill onto Sunny. They're trying to find the kill on Banquiki. Banquiki still very much alive. Has his super. Is going to regen. Z on this left-hand side. Has to be careful about the Banquiki turnaround, but he gets his damage on the save. Banquiki going in on the other safe, I'm assuming, and gets a little bit of damage, gets taken out as well. So it's a pretty even match so far, though there is a little bit of a lead for the side of Crumbs as they have gotten the safe down by one more. Never mind.
Yeah, not gonna last for long. No, two simple jumps of the monkey is gonna absolutely eliminate that lead right there. But Banquiqui's gonna get a little bit of damage. Falcon getting a ton of value from those grift cards as well. Almost able to completely cycle super, and he's got a hypercharge ready for the next time that he does. Is he gonna choose to rip it right now or save it for later? It looks like he's going to save it for later as Z kind of cleans up on the defensive end. Sunny has his hypercharge ready to go too, and it seems like Mori might be mounting a pretty significant push coming up here.
Hypercharge coming in from Sunny on this left-hand side. There's a huge super coming in from Falcon. It is Hypercharge. Z going in on the save with his own purple button jump coming in from Ormi on the objective. On the other side, we see Miko going in as well. Alex is able to take down the safe, and it's going to be a huge win for the side of Mori Gaming in game number 1.
That was great coordination on the push right there. They knew with the last shield out of the way that they just kind of had to all group up, go in as a team, and then Z was able to clear out the space for Alex on the monkey to be able to finish off that save. So well played as a team to Mori Gaming right there. Definitely anybody's game as we go into game number 2, though. Falcon's going for that initial wall break, and Alex is going to be moving directly up that left-hand side, trying to get onto the safe, but Banquiqui is going to be trying to get a little bit sneaky up here. I think everybody knows where he is, though. Probably not going to be able to do too much.
That was pretty funny. Jumps coming in from Alex, and every time that Miko jumps to the safe, you see probably Crumbs having a little bit of a heart attack here. Ormi is up against Sunny, not able to go on the objective because Sunny has that bulk, right? The 8-bit does so much of HP. On the other side, though, Banquiqui almost gets a kill on a Z. They have to pinch him here, otherwise you're going to have problems with Banquiqui, and he's going to go on the objective here. Going to get some more damage as well, and he gets dispatched. It is a slight lead for Crumbs, though.
Yep, Z and Mori are doing a Z and I forgot who was on the 8-bit, but they're doing a great job. Z and Alex, my apologies, or Sunny.
Sunny,
they're doing a good job on defense. God, that took me so long. But either way, it's going to be a pretty close game right now. Only 3% separating these two teams right now. Crumbs has full mid control right there. They're pretty set up right now, and Banquiqui's going in with the gadget. Ormi's going to follow that up too, and they should be able to get significant damage down here. Below 50%. They both do fall though, and the monkey is going to be able to get some significant damage up there. We are likely not going to pop that 50% shield, so a little bit of a saving grace, but supercharge is not going to be, he's not going to be able to take him out. A little bit of a waste there.
He completely hesitated there, like I did in my commentary. Why would you hesitate with that hypercharge? You just go in and you get the kill. He hesitated, went back, and that range disparity is huge, especially for a brawler likely gets taken out, though there is still a huge lead coming in for Crumbs. So I think they're pretty happy with how things are going, at least so far here. Falcon able to dispatch Alex as well, and this is just going to cement their lead so far.
Yeah, but we see Z has that hypercharge. If he's able to get up onto the safe, that could definitely be very significant. That's the only thing standing between them and popping this last shield, and there it goes. But there's going to be a lot of offense coming in with the Griff hypercharge. Not going to be able to finish it off, but Banquiqui after the gadget is going to finish it off. So that's going to be set number 1, tied up at 1 apiece for both of these two teams. We've seen a lot of aggression. We've seen some pretty good defense. It's definitely a good variety as far as the type of plays that we're seeing in this game. Definitely anybody's game as we go into game 3.
Yeah, it seems like Crumbs are a bit more aligned with how they should go about playing it for the other two brawlers, which aren't diving in. Alex going in once more. Benny going in on the objective. He's able to get a lot of damage and also is able to connect some shots on the 8-bit, which is going to give him his super once more. Gets taken out by Sunny, but I think that he's fine with that trade, all things considered. Ooh, huge damage coming in from Alex as well. He's able to get the safe down by 1 of those shields, and it's great for the side of Mori Gaming.
Fantastic for Mori Gaming. Sunny is just peppering the safe as well. Not going to be able to get it to 50%, but very close. Banquiqui trying to get a little bit of damage to even it out. But Z is locked in on defense with the help of Sunny. They're going to get that kill. Falcon is going to be outflanked by Alex on the monkey up there, so that's going to be some more damage coming in. Obviously, that shield is going to get popped up right here, though. Falcon letting the grip cards rip onto the safe, and we are tied at 49-49 as Z is going to go for the super.
Indeed, that was huge. Hypercharge coming in from Benny. He's going to go on the objective. He needs to get some more damage for his team. And I think he's trying to get his shield, but not able to pop that last shield. That would have been basically game over. But right now they have to hold a little bit of control as they wait for their teammate to come up. And Alex jumping in, he needs to get damage on the objective on the other side, and that's what he's doing. He's popped one shield, and that's great for them, but they have to dispatch it. Z going in! That's over! That's game, and that is going to be set for Mori Gaming.
You see Sunny threw down the damage booster right before Z went in with that super. That was going to be enough to do the 25% in one go about it. Definitely fantastic communication. Good patience from Z to wait for his opportunity to go in, but that is going to be Mori Gaming sneaking away with set number 1, and that's exactly what they needed. This is a team that we haven't seen too much success for in GKR so far, but they are definitely coming up to the challenge that Crumbs is presenting them, and now we're going to be moving into Kaboom. It is Crumbs' game. They're going to have to bounce back. They're against the wall already.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Like I said, the first set is the momentum. It sets the momentum. It sets the whole... the idea of everything behind it, right? So safe zone going to the side of Mori Gaming is going to be huge. Crumbs have a lot of work cut out for them as they go into Kaboom Canyon, but that being said, it wasn't a complete wipe. I feel like it's pretty even across the board. There is some better read of the game, I feel, for Mori Gaming, but that's not to say that, you know, the Crumbs are completely outclassed, since they did make it quite close.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be draft dependent as far as there's definitely not a big enough skill gap between these two teams for it to not go down to the draft and the gameplay in and of itself. So I expect this to be another pretty close game right here. As far as the bans go, I think we'll probably continue to see a lot of the same brawlers banned out as far as like Angelo, Chuck, Melody, those type of picks. I'm curious to see if Bonnie starts working her way into the bans because she has been picked, I believe, in every set that we've seen today. And then the Colette is kind of just the automatic counter to that. So maybe we'll continue to see that. Maybe we'll see a team pick up the Bonnie with the Colette together and try to take away that natural counter. But definitely a lot of different strategies that we can see going into Kaboom. Haven't seen a Brock yet either.
I'm really vibing with those with that headset there. It's like really good. The Neko headset. I'm gonna probably cop one of those afterwards.
Got to, man, got to. We're gonna have the cat squad on the casting team.
Dude, for real, right? Yeah, let's do that. Actually, I'm actually gonna get that then. Anyway, next set is gonna be Kaboom Canyon. The map is gonna have a lot of grass cover. That means you gotta be very careful about who you're facing or who you're not facing, and as a result, you're probably gonna want to draft an Amber. And as I see here, there is an Amber ban, so that makes sense. There's also a Miko ban, since we saw how effective Miko could be along with the Bonnie. Melody is also going to be banned along with Lumi and Angelo, and the only brawler that you really should be picked up first is the Chuck, and that's exactly what Crumbs go for here. I feel like that's a solid first pick, considering all the bans that we see right now, and Carl's going to be coming out from Mori Gaming as a result.
I think you could say Chuck's a solid first pick in any situation, pretty much unequivocally on Heist, but again, surprised to not see him banned out here. I like the Carl pick with the flying hook. He is able to get into the middle if that's the build they choose to rock with, but maybe not, considering they take an Eve as well, who has that ability to walk over water, can kind of control the mid a little bit from that standpoint. We see the Bell coming out from Crumbs, though, a pretty solid option into both Carl and Eve. She's got the range advantage. The bounces are pretty useful once those Eve babies come into the game. And we're going to see the grip with the final pick for Crumbs. Maybe going to break that wall to get them into the middle a little bit faster, but just in and of itself, a fantastic defense brawler and offensive if you can get a super onto that safe.
Honestly, at this point, I feel like Crumbs have really cooked the draft. I feel like Eve has lost a lot of relevance here, so it is surprising for any team to really pick up Eve here. Brock is going to be coming out. It allows you to break that wall. It allows you to remove a lot of the grass in the mid, but the amount of damage that Crumbs can do is crazy. They have damage for the objective. They have a lot of control. The damage output from the Griff, especially with the hypercharge, is crazy. The bounce shots from the Bell. I feel like they have all of their bases covered there.
Yeah, and we're into game number 2 here. Definitely all eyes going to be on the Chuck. He's got 2 posts set up already, so looking to get those posts set up as quickly as possible. But like I said in the last game, if you're losing to a Chuck halfway through the game, you've probably lost the game already. So we're going to see Mori trying to do what they can to keep Banny from getting that entire setup right now. Falcon barely survives, able to get the kill on Sunny, and Alex is getting some damage here, but the Eve is not really the brawler that you're going to be too happy with if that's the only team you have on the safe.
Indeed, and Banny gets taken out by Sunny with a gadget, gets taken out himself by Falcon with that response here. Revenge kill is going to be huge. Falcon still in the mid, allowed to be there, allowed to rest there as basically a resident, and jump coming in from Banny once more, and even more damage being peppered on the safe of Mori Gaming. Huge super from Sunny, and Z managing to clean up Banny is going to give them a little bit of a reprieve, but if you're already behind at this stage, as you mentioned, it's not looking good at all for Mori Gaming.
Nope, not at all. It's definitely a little bit questionable. I feel like they did kind of favor control in the draft a bit more than safe damage, which is going to be, you have to play pretty perfect against the Chuck in that case.
Oh,
Z is going to be moving up, but he's going to get
wow.
deleted by Ormi's super right there. And that safe is going to be dropping pretty low, getting close to that 25% mark with the Chuck likely going to be able to get it down there. Somehow not yet, but this is going to be a very, very difficult lead for Mori to overcome.
I think this is all borderline impossible. They have to play
Yeah.
perfectly and completely shut down everybody and make sure that Chuck doesn't get more than 2 posts. I feel like there are too many conditions that need to be satisfied for Mori to win this. I feel like this is completely lost in the draft.
Yeah, when are we gonna see the Chuck get banned, man? Like it's gotta be banned every single time if you're facing up against the first pick. I don't understand why nobody's acknowledging that, but I mean we're moving into our game number 2 here. I mean, unless we see a surprising victory from Mori Gaming, we're gonna have a 100% Chuck win rate. I feel like teams are gonna have to take that into account, but mid control is gonna be on the side of Mori for now. But Vanny's already got 3 posts set up, well on his way to getting his post set up onto the safe right here. Sunny's going to be breaking some of that grass, but there's the dash up with the gadget. That's going to be the setup pretty much complete. So we're going to have to see Mori hold this down to the highest degree.
Yeah, I was like dumbfounded. I was like, why did he place the post down in the same place? That allowed him to use this gadget to get the super again. I was like, okay, that makes sense now. I'm very dumb. Anyway, a nice start coming in from the side of Mori Gaming this time around, which is uncharacteristic for what we've seen so far. But on the other side, we see the Chuck being set up here. All that Mori Gaming have to do is completely ignore the Chuck and go in for safe damage as much as possible. That's what they're doing right now, which is why they have the lead. They popped another shield as well, and another. That's huge. They might just be able to win this one. Alex doesn't just go all in. Falcon has to mark down Alex, otherwise it's not going to be enough. But it's just looking like Mori Gaming has this, and I feel like, I'm just eating my words. Might as well eat my shorts too at this point.
That's how you have to play against. If you're gonna let the other team get the Chuck, you have to kind of just ignore him and get that safe damage yourself, because you're gonna waste too much time trying to kill him when he's just able to respawn, get back into the safe. It's gonna be a big waste of time. So definitely well played to Mori to switch up the strategy there. We're gonna have to see how Crumbs is gonna adapt to that now, because it seems like they are gonna have to acknowledge that they aren't gonna win the base race if it's a 3v1. But we're going to see Mori Gaming controlling the mid once again. Z is hitting some fantastic hooks right there to keep Ormi weak. And we're going to see Vanny playing a bit more defense now in this game than he has in the past.
Great start coming in for Mori Gaming once more. Chuck going to go in, going to get his super and his post on the safe. But one thing that we mentioned is if all 3 members of Mori Gaming are on the safe, that's basically difficult or impossible for Crumbs to come back here. We are at parity in terms of the damage on the objective. And now we see a little bit more damage trickling in for the side of Mori Gaming and also Crumbs. It's pretty close.
Yeah, Banny is able to hang with all of this damage from all the different members of Mori Gaming, and we're going to be basically tied up as of right now. Sunny is moving back up, but Ormi gets that wall breakdown, so going to be able to shoot into the mid a little bit easier. Alex's advantage of walking over the water, not as impactful, but Z goes in with the hyper, once again deleted by Ormi. We've seen that interaction unfold 2 or 3 times already, but Banny's getting this damage here, and now it's looking a little bit tough for Mori Gaming. Crumbs has that lead, and they have the Chuck somehow still alive after all that. This is looking very difficult for Mori to come back from.
Indeed, big hypercharge from Ormi. Gets a lot of damage on the objective, and now it seems like Crumbs are slightly running away from this. They do have game here, and they might be able to win this set. Only 7% is what they need, but are they going to be able to hold on, or is it going to be a choke hypercharge coming in from Sunny? He's able to connect a lot of these shots. Alex getting the kill on the Falcon. Ormi is going to be pretty low, but gets taken out himself, and it's over as Crumbs are able to take that game and that set and tie this up at 1 apiece.
Just a matter of time. Once you're at 25% and you still have 50% on the enemy safe and the other team has a Chuck, you're kind of cooked at that point. So well played to take that second game. Definitely was the right strategy, but Crumbs adapted and overcame. We're tied up at 1-1. Going into Bridge too far, these teams seem very, very evenly matched. For the second time today, we're going to set number 3. So I love the competitive parity that we're seeing here, Panda.
Indeed, it is going quite head-to-head. I feel like, we need to give these fellows the props, right? They are playing really well. I may not agree with the draft all the time, but I feel like it's quite interesting and quite evenly matched. But what we're going to see over time is NA obviously understanding that right now they aren't able to compete at the global level in terms of like the drafting and all of that, and you're going to see a lot of teams coming out and being quite serious about how they're operating. We saw that with Code OG in the previous game, where they were able to actually get some really good drafts in and quite good gameplay against a team which the brain of which is supposed to be one of the smartest people in North America for drafting right now. So we're gonna have a lot of a shakeup in NA. At least that's what I feel, and that's what I hope to bring NA back to that global stage towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a pretty volatile region. I feel like it could be anybody's game any given day. After seeing Tribe kind of fall off a little bit too on the global stage right there, maybe that gives other North American teams kind of the confidence boost they need. Tribe looked unshakable and not really as much anymore. So maybe we'll see a different monthly final champion after all this time. I don't know. It feels like the gates are kind of wide open for a new team to establish a little bit of a position in the top of NA leaderboards, but I mean, it's definitely, you're going to have to back up your talk and kind of get that gameplay on the same page right there. Tribe is still sitting at the top of the leaderboard, so curious to see who kind of establishes themselves as another top NA team.
Yeah, and just talking about what we saw at the Brawl Cup, a lot of people would probably say that Tribe got rolled or whatever, but I feel like some of these losses are so important for defining your character as you go through the rest of the season. Obviously, Tribe were undefeated. They won every single game at the start of the year, and that was across tournaments. So for them to face such a huge setback at an international LAN in the middle of the year is actually a good thing, right? Yes, they didn't win. Yes, and they didn't get more spots, but knowing where they stand now, they have more than half. They have half the year basically to course correct and get to that level again. And we have double points in the second split. So a lot of teams that may not have had the option of qualifying for an international LAN now do have the option if they work for it, if they work towards it, and if they don't make excuses about the draft. So hopefully we see a lot more stronger of an NA showing as the second split goes along. I feel like I got sidetracked there, but I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well keep it going until the draft starts. But just one last point as far as the Brawl Cup goes, I feel like LAN is kind of a different animal too from your normal monthly finals. The pressure's a lot higher when those fans are up there, when you're facing across from the other team. But I don't know. We'll have to see who's going to be able to make qualify for the Worlds and be able to put on for the North American region. Hopefully they do well. But into Bridge Too Far, once again, no Chuck ban. And the undefeated win rate is going to be trying to continue. We have seen 2 Chuck victories already. And Crumbs is going to get the free Chuck with the first pick right there. Our bans are Angelo, Bonnie, Melody, Amber, Miko, and Bell. And we're going to see more gaming caught back with a Colt. So once again, 2 brawlers that are pretty much just there for safe damage.
Yeah, somebody in chat asked me to flex my muscles. I barely have any, so I just did it anyway. Colt is going to be coming out for more gaming. Like I said, Colt on this map, perfect. I don't think you can go wrong with it. It's amazing lane, a lot of damage, but you got to connect those shots. You need to strafe along with aim. 8-Bit also has the same idea here, but the amount of damage that he can output, especially once he gets his turret up, is huge. But again, Chuck allowed as a first pick is crazy to me. Why isn't it banned out? Crumbs are going to be able to complement this Chuck pick for 100% to keep down the 8-Bit and Colt. And with Colette as an option, I feel like 8-Bit's days are numbered.
Yeah, I would definitely not be surprised to see an 8-Bit here, but for the first time today, we're going to be seeing a Bo, who is a solid heist brawler. With the use of that totem that charges your super and your hypercharge quicker, he can get a lot of mines onto the save very quickly. And something else to keep in mind is he's kind of a natural counter to the heist safe, having that shield, because he does all his damage at the same time if he's going to be using tripwire rather than the charging one, and it can kind of knock out a bunch of that damage, kind of ignoring the shield right there. So maybe that's what they'll go for. You can kind of use either gadget with the bow, but they add a Eve to that as well. Makes sense to have a water brawler. And More Gaming's going to finish up the draft with the Carl. A little bit of aggression right there. It's got good safe damage. It can kind of play a little bit of defense and a little bit of offense. So it's going to complement the Colt and the 8-Bit pretty well. I like both of these comps, but I have to give the advantage to the team with the Chuck.
Yeah, for sure. Getting guaranteed damage on the objective is huge, but if you can have a death ball and just completely push up the map as a team for Mori Gaming, that's going to be huge. As Z goes in, he's able to get a little bit of damage on the objective, not all that much, but they've managed to secure a lead. All that Alex and Sunny have to do is hold control, and Sunny goes down almost immediately after I said that.
Yeah, we're going to see Mori Gaming kind of using this left lane to regroup and push up right here. Double stacking the lane is definitely an interesting strategy. We usually see one player per lane here, but with these base racy comps, sometimes it can benefit to have two people on the same lane. They're going to walk right past those bow mines too, and Alex and Z are both getting a significant amount of damage. Sunny's got his damage booster up too, and that's going to be the safe down to 50% already. It seems like it's dropping too quick for Vanny to really have too much of an impact on this game as the Chuck. That's a ton of damage, Panda.
That's a ton of Eve babies as well. They just let that Eve completely cook with that hypercharge super, and that was bad for them, as now Z's gonna go in. There's gonna get even more damage. Has managed to pop a shield. Benny trying to get a little bit on the other side as well. They are trailing, but the kill onto Z is gonna be huge. Now Benny is gonna be able to get the safe down. Maybe. Nope. Falcon is gonna be there in the mid. He has to hold control. He has to keep Alex back. He has to keep Z back. It's all on his shoulders right now.
Yeah, Falcon and Ormi are going to have a lot on their plates on defense here, just trying to buy enough time for Banny, but the Colt clip is going to come through. Alex able to finish off the safe right there. Well played by Mori Gaming to be able to kind of out base race the Chuck right there. That's the exact strategy that they kind of need if they're going to take this game right here, and they executed it in game 1 to perfection. I think that double stacking that lane was the right call to make. They needed that early damage, and double stacking allowed them to get up to the safe, but we have more gaming on match point right here. Crumbs is going to have to bounce back and maybe just buy a little bit more time for Banny to get set up and get that damage rolling in.
Indeed, there's a lot of damage coming in. Z, along with his flying hook, getting in a position where he can be a huge menace. He's also dodging all these shots quite adeptly. On the other side, though, Benny's going to be able to get his pulse on the objective, and Falcon as well is trying to keep Z down, but Z has been alive for so long. He's also given Alex enough move to get so much more damage because of his bulk here, and he finally gets taken down, but the safe also goes down by 50%.
Yeah, similar start to what we saw in game number 1. It's about a 40% lead sitting on the side of Mori Gaming right now. Banny is set up, and we do see some bow mines onto the safe, so that could be some significant damage coming soon. Likely going to be able to get it somewhat close to a tie once Banny goes in again, but Z is going to be keeping that pressure up on offense. Sunny trying to get some clips onto the safe. Alex getting some clips on too. 25% to 50% right now. This is shutting down quickly though. Wow. And Mori is going to walk away with that set. We finally see the Chuck not win a game right here. Mori Gaming is going to win 2-1 right there. Fantastically played to those boys, and you can just see the smiles on their faces. Looks like a nice weight off their chest right there.
Well-deserved victory. They went up against that Chuck first pick. They knew what they had to do. I gotta say, Z piloting the team and captaining them to this win was huge, because without him making the inroads with his bulk, I don't think the amount of damage that we saw coming in from Mori Gaming would have been possible. That was especially on display and exemplified in the third set, especially in the third game. So beautiful stuff coming in from Mori Gaming. Commiserations to Crumbs, but I don't think they're out by any means. I feel like they're still at that level where they can compete against teams like Mori Gaming.
Absolutely. I mean, both of these teams are going to be moving to 1-1 through the 2 first days of league play, so they're both still have a lot of room to move up, a lot of room to move down, so they're going to have to stay locked in going into the next couple of weeks here. But I think it's pretty good that both of these teams are 1-1. I feel like that's about deserved right there. Middle of the pack right there. Should be able to maybe make a statement against some of the better teams coming up into the future, but that's definitely a must win for Mori against a team that they're relatively evenly matched up against. So happy to see them get on the board right there. Very good game number 2 though. We've had 2 evenly matched games so far, and moving into Pioneers versus LLC, who I both won in game number 1. I kind of expect more of that, but we're going to take a quick 2 to 3 minute break before we get into that. So thank you guys.
We'll see you then.
Yep.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GKR 2025. It is time for the NA region match day number 2. It's heist only, and right now we have LC Esports versus Kansas City Pioneers. We did finish 2 games already today. We had Kodoji versus Gadget Spam, which Kodoji won in a 2-1, and then we have Mori Gaming versus Crumbs, where Mori Gaming won in a 2-1. Now we have KCP versus LC Esports. KCP, we have Tyrant, Zula, and Fade. LC Esports comprises of Roladu, Squeezy, and Kirito. And I feel like this might be a stomp for the fans, but let's hope that we have a little bit more action than expected here.
I believe that this will be a pretty even game, honestly. I mean, Pioneers is a very well-known team, at least, the former roster for Tribe Gaming right there. But these are some players who are very good, but maybe a little bit past their prime. You never know. They've definitely struggled a little bit in the first couple of monthly finals. LLC, on the other hand, they took down SSG in day 1 of GKR, so definitely a little bit of an unexpected upset right there. They're going to be trying to add another one under their belt right here. Both of these teams are 1-0 though, so one of them is going to be moving up to 2-0. It's going to be a very, very good start in a pretty long league phase.
Yeah, I completely agree. And see, one of the things that people discount a lot of the times is new teams or teams which are not in the first A tier where you tend to see them all the time, is that you don't expect them to improve, which is kind of dumb, I guess. So there have always been teams which have just started out, may not be as important or as strong, and then you see them change over time, get really strong, become world champions. I feel like if we think about the erstwhile Zeta Division, which is now the roster is with Foot Esports, they were previously Craze Clan, and at that point in time, there was a situation where they were tier B. They weren't able to even qualify for monthly finals. They started qualifying for monthly finals. They started qualifying for some international lands. They managed to qualify for a world finalist, get into the Zeta Division, get the world finals victory as well. So a lot of times people put down these smaller teams. They put down their abilities, and they say that, yeah, you're not going to be able to match up to the Titans of a region. But I say no. I feel like a lot of times you can have these teams really come up against all of this pressure and make a stand, make it known that they're a team to be reckoned with. I'm not 100% saying that that is LC Esports, but what I'm saying is people need to stop discounting some of the teams of less repute, because that's where you're going to get the growth for your region from an esports perspective.
I couldn't agree with you more right there, Panda. It only takes a couple of crazy wins to be able to really put yourself on the map right here. And we already saw LLC take out SSG, one of the more popular teams in the region. So they're going to be trying to go back-to-back with the Kingslaying right here. As we go into safe zone for set number 1, the bans are in. We've got Melody, Amber, Daryl, Chuck, Lumi, and Bell all banned out here. First time we've seen Angelo picked up today, a very frequently banned brawler, but he's going to be the first pick for the side of KCP.
Indeed. Looking at the other bands, we have Amber, Daryl, Melody. I haven't seen a Bonnie band coming out. We also don't have Miko being banned. I feel like Miko has a little bit of viability on this map for sure. Bonnie is going to be great, and Bonnie's going to be picked up as a result here. I don't think you can really go wrong with Bonnie. Right now, though, we need LC Esports to take something for a bit more control, a little bit more damage in the mid, but Pioneers have to get something for the objective, which I think that they can get in due time.
Yeah, I think that the Bonnie pick is pretty good. We'll see if they add the Colette to it, or if they're going to let that Colette slide to Pioneers. We've seen that pick come in so many times today, but they're going to take a bow with the Bonnie. So interesting strategy right there. They have the little bit of the extra mobility with the ability of the Bonnie to kind of just jump and then get back into her cannon. She's able to launch herself onto the safe. She's able to launch herself over those walls. Bow going to be a little bit better as far as control goes, but he can still be a massive damage dealer if he's able to get those mines onto the safe. So a little bit of the best of both worlds with these two brawlers that are coming in for LLC. Pioneers has the Angelo for a little bit of control, but don't really have anybody that is specifically there for safe damage, and that's what they're going to be adding here with the 8-bit.
Indeed. Sorry, I got a little bit distracted with chat. I like this bow pick here. Once you get that hypercharge, it's going to be kind of crazy once you have LC Esports on the safe. But 8-bit, I feel like it gives you a lot more guaranteed damage, like you mentioned. The Angelo is also going to be cooking, especially once you get that hypercharge on that safe. It's going to go down really fast. But they still don't have guaranteed damage on the objective. I'm a little concerned that they're only playing control against a brawler that can get on the safe and get that damage and get out. Kenji's going to be coming in. That is an interesting pick. Kenji is strong. The hypercharge allows it to completely destroy an entire team. So you're going to see Kenji trying to pressure people, use that wall 100% to keep it back. And I don't know if I like LC's chances now.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first Kenji pick we've seen today. He's obviously one of the most popular brawlers in the meta, but in the heist meta, he really doesn't have as much of a place here. So we'll see how well it works out. Obviously, he's going to be good for getting kills. And then once he gets that hypercharge, he's going to be able to clear out a lot of room for his team. But he's not really somebody you want to leave on the safe if you're the side of Pioneers. Like if a Kenji's on the safe by himself, it's not really that significant of damage. There's a lot of brawlers that can out damage him. So we'll see if he plays a little bit more in the mid as a control brawler or if they're just going to send him aggro the entire game. I feel like this draft could definitely go either way. As we get into game number 1, though, Zulon's going to be man in the middle with that Angelo.
Indeed, and Fade is known as a king of clutch. He's able to get that kill on a squeezy as well. I'm going to wait for that man to get his hypercharge. That purple button is going to be coming down towards the third half of the game, and that's going to be making it very difficult for LSC to really operate. We do have an issue with the overlay, which is showing the wrong team, so I will get that addressed.
Yeah, we're going to have LOC in red against KCP in blue right now, but Roladu's going to be jumping onto Fade, trying to secure this kill right here. Fade and Tyrant both pretty weak, but they're able to pop that first shield of the safe. Fade somehow able to get away with the kill and his life right there, so Kirito's going to have to play a little bit more defense. They do clean it up eventually, but now we see Squeezy going in for some damage here. Not really going to go for damage, instead going to be taken out by Tyrant. So the lead is definitely on the side of KCP so far. We're going to have to see LOC make a play here.
That's exactly what they do. Rolu goes in, gets deleted in that situation. Unfortunate. Fade has the hypercharge already ready. Not going to be using it, but has managed to get some damage on the objective. Goes for the hypercharge there. Gets a kill onto Rolu for sure. He's going to get another super as well. That's going to be huge. But unfortunately for him, the safe was invincible. But I don't think that really matters as KCP are just kind of running away with this one.
Yeah, this lead is looking a little bit insurmountable right now. They've got the bow mines in the middle, so maybe be able to buy them a little time, but Fade is just going to be getting that super out there. Tyrant's able to squeeze enough shots through Squeezy to be able to take game number 1. Very convincing manner, I might add. I definitely expected that to be a little bit closer as we see Zulon's beautiful art behind him, but very convincing win for KCP. Gotta see a little bit more from LLC going into game number 2.
Indeed, I felt like KCP knew exactly what they needed to do at all the times. The gameplay was quite clean. They weren't ever really pressured. Let's see what happens in game number 2. Have LSC managed to adapt? That is going to be the question in everybody's mind.
Yep, Fade is going to be moving up, causing some pressure here with the Kenji right there. It's difficult to get any single brawler, especially Kenji, out when those walls are still up. And the only wall break we have is Kirito with his bow mines, so unlikely to see too many walls get broken. We see Roladu trying to charge his super here, hoping to get a little bit of that jump for a little bit of mobility to clear out some space there. But so far, a little bit of a standstill in the middle as Fade is going to be making his move over to the right side. Wow, crazy juice from Fade. That's going to clear out a lot of space for him.
That was... How did he get that kill? How is that dude still alive? That's crazy! Oh my god, okay. Now we see Zulon going in. He gets the kill on a Kirito. He's going to be very low here as there is a super coming in for Squeezy. Going to get taken out by Tyrant. Fade is still alive and he's still operating. Despite his teammates getting taken out, Fade doesn't care. He's just going for the objective.
Fade is absolutely hounding them right now, man. He's not going for the safe at all, too, which is the correct move if you're a Kenji. You're not going to get that much safe damage, but Tyrant is if he's able to get a little bit of space. They finally address him, and it's only a 10% lead for KCP right now, but Fade is just having his way with them so far, getting the super onto the safe as well, and he's just wasting so much of their time and energy here.
Yeah, and he gets his hypercharge once more, and he's able to connect 2 of those shots, gets taken out finally, but has done a number on LLC as a one-man team. His teammates are just going down left and right, but Fade doesn't care.
Yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous gameplay from Fade right here. He's doing such a good job distracting as he pops that hyper. Without the super, Squeezy gets a good amount of damage with his Carl hypercharge, but it might not be enough. Roladu's trying to follow it up. I mean, they're getting some significant damage here. Might be able to get it down to the 50% threshold, but KCP is getting close to that 25% threshold. Likely going to be able to get it here. Fade is still somehow alive. Zulon is using his hyper to get some of those arrows, but I don't think they'll be able to finish it on this push unless Tyrant proves me wrong.
Indeed, Tyrant's going in for the hypercharge there, and immediately Squeezy using the super to take it out. Not sure if that's the best. Ooh, Squeezy's still surviving. Uses his super as well to get out of that situation. He uses the hypercharge as well, taking out. Fade going in, gets some more damage on the objective, gets taken out himself. 10% left on the LC safe. It is basically over.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, it's with the safe shield, it's going to be very difficult to come back from 3%, and that's going to be set number 1 going to KCP
Hmm.
right there. It seems like the Kenji pick, I wasn't as sure about it, but maybe I'm just going to have to accept that he's the most broken brawler in the game, no matter what, pretty much, because Fade put on an absolute Kenji clinic right there. Just such a good distraction, and honestly, the damage wasn't too bad either once you get both of those super swipes onto it. We got a
We get
beautiful
feet.
angle of Tyrant right
We get
here.
Tyrant feet for free.
Crazy work, Tyrant. Come on, you gotta paywall. You gotta paywall that next time, buddy.
Well, that was crazy though. I wasn't 100% convinced with the Kenji pick right off the bat, but I knew that Fade's gonna go Kenji, and after that, I knew that was gonna be crazy for LSC to really contend with. Use the saw hit, the jukes that the man did in between. How was he able to juke through 3 of those strafe shots along with like another shot, and then just like completely destroy people one after the other, gets his hypercharge, goes in on the save, gets even more damage. He's done the whole shebang. I felt like he carried his team on his back with that. Not saying that his team didn't do work, but he allowed his team to get in a position to be more effective by giving that room to operate. I felt like that was a masterclass in how to position yourself with Kenji and use it. So beautiful stuff coming in from Kansas City Pioneers and Safe Zone. Let's see if they can replicate a lot more of that success going to Kaboom Canyon. But everything said and done, LC Esports have their work cut out for them. This is a very difficult task.
Definitely. I mean, Fade was Mr. Untouchable on the Kenji right there. We'll have to see if Kenji gets banned out here. We haven't seen him banned like every set, but that's the first time we've seen him slip through and actually get played. So maybe proving that Kenji is going to be a pretty versatile pick anywhere. I definitely think you could make him work on Kaboom, especially if you have a wall break for that middle wall and you can kind of just get him into the grass to hide and be a menace and a distraction. So wouldn't be shocked to see that. Obviously, like Chuck, Angelo, Bonnie are all going to be in the field of play as well, but I mean, we did see the Chuck take its first L of the day, so maybe people are going to be a little bit more confident in letting the Chuck slide through. I still personally wouldn't recommend it myself, but you know, what do I know? These guys get paid to play the game more than I do, so.
That is true. Casters can't talk about draft, so that's what we know about Brawl Stars. I mean, we don't know anything about Brawl Stars. We're just caster. We just yap on the screen, but hopefully we're entertaining enough that you guys keep coming back. Kaboom Canyon is a map which has a lot of grass in the mid, right? So you have to be careful about how you operate there. You want to either burn out the grass altogether, or you want to be able to use the grass. There are also these 2 walls in the mid, which are very imperative to breaking, depending on the strategy involved, which allows you to get onto the grass again. I feel like it's the fulcrum of this whole shebang is that grass. And also, you have to be careful about those corners on either side, diagonally on the left and diagonally on the bottom right. You're gonna have brawlers like Carl really be a menace on those sides there. We have our bans are gonna be Lumi, Chuck, Angelo, so the train is gone from the equation. Amber, Daryl, and Miko. We have a Bonnie which is open. The Miko going out is also huge. So all in all, I don't expect LSC to take anything other than Bonnie, but if they do, I would be surprised. They go for Melody. I don't think Melody is bad by any means.
Yeah, I think besides Bonnie, Melody was the brawler I had my eye on that made it through the bans here. I definitely think that it is pretty important to either get a wall break or a water brawler to try to control the middle here, but we're going to see both teams kind of fading that with their first picks. We see Melody and Bonnie, those 2 brawlers that we had our eye on. They're definitely staples of the heist meta now and kind of always have been. The bell comes through for Pioneers as well. Pretty solid defensive brawler. If you're able to save that mark for when a brawler like Melody goes in, it can make that cleanup a lot quicker. So I think that's kind of the strategy they're going for, especially also with those bell traps. You can kind of get those set up and block off a couple of the lanes. LOC is going to take a Jessie though, which is a brawler I haven't seen in competitive in a very long time.
Yeah, usually you see the Jessie coming out when you have a lot of high HP brawlers that don't have too much of range to take out some of the more slambulance based compositions where you have a healer along with a tank which you work with. I feel like in those situations Jessie is great, but in every other situation it's kind of really a big ass to run Jessie. So I'm kind of surprised about that here as LC Esport have their last pick, and it's going to be Buster. I like Buster in a lot of situations. Heist is not one of these situations.
I kind of hate this draft from LLC to put it quite honestly for you. The Colette is still on the board somehow. I would have expected Colette to be snatched up by LLC at that turn right there, but they're gonna let it slip to Pioneer. So for the first time we see Bonnie and Colette on the same team. The natural enemies have finally joined hands, and they're gonna be kind of leading a very, very good draft for Pioneers right here. I think LOC's got their work cut out for them. Obviously, if the cards fall correctly and they're able to get a Jesse turret with a Melody onto the safe, it could fall pretty quickly, but I really don't like this draft. We're going to see Fade using his first jump already to move up there, get some HP back, and he's going to take out Roladu. Kirito is next to fall. That's all 3 members from KCP on the safe already. This is looking like an outdraft in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. They have grass control also. I feel like the objective here for LC is to get Squeezy onto the mid and be in the grass and be a menace, but he's being completely bullied on the right-hand side. Gets taken out himself, Fade being a nuisance on the left-hand side. Roladu going in just for his funeral, it seems. So that is unfortunate as Fade falls.
Yeah, Zulan's going to be getting these bounces rolling too. Squeezy's moving up, but he gets slowed by the bell trap. Tyrant's popping that gadget, trying to get his, make sure his HP stays topped up. He does have a hypercharged super, so if he's ever able to get up, that's going to be something to keep your eye on. Kirito does have turret, but he falls, and Fade's going to pick off Squeezy, and that might be the entire team from LSU falling. Roladu doing a good job wasting as much time as possible, but all 3 members up. The Colette hypercharge is going in. This is a 75% lead for Kansas City Pioneers. This one might be over, Pen.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Squeezy gets taken out. They're leaving Roladu on the safe, but I don't think they really care. They have 1 shield. They have more than 30 seconds to get that 15% here, and Squeezy knows the writing is on the wall. He's trying to get down Fade just for a little bit of I don't even know what at this point. It's going to be match point for Kansas City Pioneers. They haven't been pressured. They haven't been pushed back. And LC Esports is really not up to the task today.
Yeah, they're not like playing badly or anything. It's just the draft is really bad in my opinion. Like this is a draft that I would be upset with in Legendary 2 rank. And this is what we're seeing in GKR. A little bit shocking, but we'll see if they can make us eat our words here. But I'm definitely expecting more of the same from KCP. As we get into game number 2, it is indeed match point for KCP, and Squeezy's going to be trying to do all he can to establish some mid control, but Fade picks him off, and he's jumping up. This is going according to plan for Pioneers.
Indeed, Roladu going in, he's able to find a kill. Now there you see them cooking a little bit. Roladu has taken a little bit of damage, but is finally on the objective, and now we see a lead coming in from LSC, which does get cut short by 10% due to Tyrant Super, but I think that LSC are fine with this 9% lead, but I feel like this lead is going to be going away really quickly, really fast if they're not concerned.
Yeah, Squeezy's going to be trying to establish some control back in the mid. He's doing all he can, but Tyrant is luckily going to be able to survive that. Zulan, he underestimates the shield, though, and that's going to be the first lick of control we see for LLC. Roladu is going to be capitalizing on that, and we finally see them control the grass. Maybe this is what they drafted for all along.
Yeah, I think that's why you wanted the Buster in the grass, but getting the Buster in the grass is hard. And once you lose 1 brawler, then it's really hard for Buster to keep on. We finally see Buster once more, getting the kill here. They have control of the grass, and this is actually looking quite good for LSC, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, this is by far the best positioning we've seen from them. Tyrant does have hypercharge, but he's quite far away from being able to do much with it. They're going to try to take out the Jesse turret, but it survives. Not going to get any safe damage with that turret in and of itself, though. Zulan going to be trying to clear out a little bit of room for KCP with the hypercharge right there, but like we said, Squeezy's job is just to get in the mid and hold control, and he's done a good job of that so far as he uses that speed to get a kill right there, and things are looking pretty solid for LOC. That shield is going to be pretty useful to buy them more time.
Indeed, and some bounce shots from Jesse, just peppering the safe. They've managed to take down one of the shields as well. Jesse's going to be on the safe with a turret, gets dispatched here. Tyrant has a super, goes in on a Roladu, finds a kill as well. Going to be pretty low. It pops his gadget to take a little bit of damage. Korea falls, and now it's up to Squeezy to hold that line. And it's just looking like it's not going to be the case, but Roladu going in. They get the kill on a Tyrant. Now Roladu finding the kill on a Zulan. No, but he course corrects, goes back on the objective, realizes this is heist, this is where they have an advantage, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, definitely the right call by Roladu to ignore Zulan and go for safe damage. And it looks like this might be too much for them to overcome. Wow. I believe Bonnie might be getting some damage in, but that's 25%. They're going to have to get through 2 shields to be able to win this one. Kirito's going to clean up, and somehow, some way, this draft is going to result in a W for LLC right there. So we're tied up at 1-1. Still match point for Pioneers, but LLC is looking like they might be able to steal a set number 2 win here. So definitely a little surprised to see that. But, I mean, Squeezy did a great job holding mid-control that game. I feel like that was the strategy that they went for, and they executed it to perfection. Gonna have to do it one more time, though.
Yep. and it's not an easy task, all things considered. It's very difficult, especially getting that Buster on the grass. And once more, already Buster's on the mid, but he has been tagged up a little bit with Kirito going down. That's gonna be huge. And now Squeezy gets a pull, gets a kill, but is taken down. So the grass finally in control of Kansas City Pioneers. LSC had to move up and onto the mid, but that is gonna be hard, as we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I feel like we might see KCP try to focus mid control a little bit more than the safe damage this time around, seeing how they lost last game. But they're going to be having Tyrant get that super on there. But Roladu is out of here. Fade is going to very smartly go back, though, and play a little bit of defense. So definitely the right call from him. Course correcting at the last second to get that defensive kill. Very well played, but they're trying to just hold down control. And it's a little bit of the opposite of what we saw in game 2 here.
I honestly feel that Fade is very underrated for the sort of player he is. Hypercharge coming in from Zulan, manages to mark down Kirito. Squeezy dispatch from the mid. He's going to be 6 feet under. Super coming in from Tyrant is able to pop a shield, and things are looking much more in control for KCP. They don't look like they're in a bad spot at all. Squeezy, on the other hand, is looking like he's having a very difficult day at the office.
Yeah, he's not going to enjoy any of the time he spends outside of a bush here, but that shield is going to buy them a little bit more time. Still about a 25-30% lead on the side of KCP, so Squeezy and Kirito are going to have to make a push for that mid, but it's going to be really hard while he's marked up. But he actually changes the mark over to Kirito, so maybe what Squeezy needed, but there's so many bell traps right there. Not really going to be able to get through, and Roladu's going to get taken out just to add a little bit of flavor on top. This is looking rough.
I love the way KCP are playing. They're playing one of their supers for the defensive play and one of their supers for the objective. I've never seen Fade actually going in on the objective with his super. He's always used it on defensive, and that's been paying them dividends. They don't want to take ancillary damage and risk a situation where they get taken out. Hypercharge is coming all around. There's a kill on a Roladu. Big super coming in from Tyrant once more. 31% to 74%. KCP very, very comfortably in the lead here, Duncan.
Yeah, 75% to 20%. This is looking like it's going to be pretty much over with only 20 seconds left. We're going to have to see a crazy push from LLC here. Kirito is going to clear out some space with that turret, but KCP is more than happy to play defense for the rest of this game. The Bonnie jump comes through too, trying to finish off the safe right here, down to 7%. Roladu is on the safe. He's going to get a ton of damage, but it's not going to be enough. Too little, too late. Tyrant's going to finish it off, and that's going to be a straight set right there, 2-0 for Kansas City Pioneers. As they progress to 2-0, LLC is going to fall to 1-1. Pretty good fight right there, but I just don't think that the draft in set number 2 is going to be enough to beat a very mechanically skilled team like KCP.
Yeah, they're mechanically skilled. They also have, pretty great draft in that set there. I felt like LSC Esport, I could see the vision. I could understand why they went for the Buster, but I feel like the team synergy involved in that composition is the requirement for that is so high that you can't ever drop the ball. And that's what happened a lot of the times. You just saw one person fall and the rest of the team fell like dominoes. It didn't matter if it was the Buster that fell first. Obviously, if the Buster falls, the rest of them are going to also fall fast. But like it's guaranteed if one of the members of LLC fall, they're all going to fall like dominoes. So well played by LLC Esport, but you can't go for a lot more of these the cheesy drafts against such an established team such as Kansas City Pioneers. We still have one more game, and I know I was yapping a lot, but we have one more game. It's going to be 919 versus SSG, and for that we're going to take a small break of about 2.5 minutes, and we'll see you after the break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GKR. It is NA Circuit 2025, match day number 2, which is Heist, and we have 919 versus SSG, which is our last match of the day for this match day. 919 have, let's see, who do they have? They have Doodle, Nerf, and Venom. SSG have Bobby, Chino, and Sans. Now, SSG Esports, a huge team. But unfortunately, they lost their last match day to, I believe, Crumbs. So that was not Crumbs. LLC. So that was a little bit unfortunate for them, and that's not an outcome that we expect. So hopefully we see something better coming out from SSG. But they're up against 919, which is an up-and-coming team here. So they have to be not worried, but they have to be careful that they don't overestimate their abilities and their prowess, because doing so has done them in the past. So hopefully we see some more concerted, more intentional decisions being brought out by Space Station.
Yeah, this is definitely the type of matchup that they're probably looking for to bounce back in GKR. Obviously, nobody wants to be 0-1, as both of these teams are right now. So winning this next one, moving up to 1-1, staying in the middle of the pack is going to be very important for whichever team comes out on top here. 919 definitely has their work cut out for them, though. SSG's got to be hungry after the way LLC did them in day 1 of GKR, so all eyes are going to be on SSG. This is kind of their game to lose, but you never know. A team like 919 could pull out some crazy strats, with Heist being the game mode of the day. So I'm excited to see what they pull out, and SSG just expecting big things, hoping not to be let down again.
Indeed, and just thinking about the issues that SSG have, I feel like a lot of the times they go based off of a lot of comfort picks, and they go based off of the matchups which are good on paper, right? But not necessarily realistic matchups sometimes, so they kind of get caught. I feel like I've seen a lot of Bobby streams, and he gets a little bit excited with the way he's drafting, and he gets too in the moment that he forgets the overarching plot. So hopefully SSG are a bit more mindful about how they're going about drafting and also playing. I wouldn't say SSG is terrible at drafting, but in terms of mechanical ability, Bobby, Sans, Chino, they've been at World Finals, I guess between them maybe 10 times.
Yeah.
But they have that ability, but they just need to show us that they can do it in the draft, because right now we've had draft for 2 years, so I think that we've reached a point where all these teams need to be hitting those drafts really well. So hopefully we see a bit of a change coming in from Space Station with the way they approach their game.
Yeah, draft is a tough thing to be really great at. It's definitely a lot of mind games, a lot of scenario analysis, thinking a couple steps ahead. You always want to be 2 steps ahead of your opponent when it comes to draft. Like, if I take this, they're going to take that, and then we're going to take this to go into it. So it's a little bit of mental chess going on right there, and SSG just hasn't seemed to be able to kind of come out on top of a lot of these chess matches in what we've seen so far throughout competitive. So hoping that they can kind of hit their stride here. 919 is going to be doing whatever they can to prevent that from happening today. So we'll see how it goes right here, but definitely all eyes on SSG. It's kind of their game to lose, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm a little surprised by how things went on day 1, but I think that after the Brawl Cup, a lot of the teams in NA have got like a big rude awakening about the realities of the situation. So you're gonna see a lot of teams just locking in and just going in every day, just grinding the drafts and grinding the scrims and playing with a lot more intention and purpose. And maybe that's just a lot of copium coming from me. I'm looking forward to November and hoping that what I said right now isn't copium and it's just hopium,
Exactly. I still think NA's got a little juice left in them. I hope so. Maybe it's just me glazing my home region, but I think that they've got more that they can show the world on the world stage. So I'm hoping that we get some good representation and some good performances right here. Hoping that SSG is able to qualify too, but they've got their backs against the wall as far as BSC goes. But back to GKR, going into set number 1, which is once again going to be on Safe Zone. Our bans are Lumi, Chuck, Angelo, Bonnie, Bell, and Miko. And that first pick is going to be the Melody. So the same crop of brawlers that we've seen banned is going to be banned out again. And then very popular first pick being that Melody, a little bit of safe damage, a little bit of a dive brawler right there. Makes a lot of sense from what I've seen so far, though.
8-bit coming out for 919. We've also seen how good 8-bit can be, especially if you pair it up with a Colette or maybe an Angelo. But Angelo being banned out means that you can't go for it. The train is also banned out, as is the Miko. So a lot of the big threats for the objective are taken out of the situation. But I feel like this opens up a use case for Daryl to be brought out. Melody is a bit of a scary proposition because once it gets on your objective, it's really bad. You don't have the bonding to jump back onto the safe like Fade did in the previous set to take out that Melody. And right now they go for Colt, which is going to give them a lot more damage in the mid-range area, but I don't think it addresses the Melody, which I feel like the first two picks from 919 should be a response to, you know, one, what's brought out, and one is a response to what can be brought out next. So I don't think that they've satisfied that objective with the way they've drafted these first two picks on their side.
Yeah, I agree with that, but also at the same time, I feel like it is kind of a little bit of staying in their own lanes with the strategy right here. They want to go for offense, they want to go for safe damage, and they're not really going to worry about what SSG brings to the table. So we've seen the 8-bit Colt combination work very well. I believe Mori pulled it off, where they were just kind of able to get that 8-bit turret up, and then if you get a full 8-bit clip, a full Colt super, or a full Colt clip, that's going to be so much damage coming down so quickly. So it's definitely a high risk, high reward duo that they're going with. SSG is going to be trying to counter it out with the Juju. Definitely a good middle of the map control type brawler. She can kind of slow down the pace of play with those water shots. So seems like they're going for a little bit of a safer comp, whereas 919 is kind of shooting for the stars here.
Indeed. I like this Piper pick. Bobby on the Piper is going to be absolutely cooking. 919, they have this last pick here. They need to be able to address the Piper or the Juju or even the Melody. I feel like you can keep the Melody at bay if you have control of the mid at least for a long time. The only time that Melody can have a breakaway is when she gets her super in the situation. Lily's going to be coming out. I like this Lily pick. I feel like it can get onto the Piper and the Juju, and it's so tough that Juju is going to be really hard pressed to really get something going. But in those same moments where Lily goes in is where Melody can actually probably wait and help defend their team and get their super and get on the objective.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage from the side of 919 here. If they get a single second on the safe, it could fall very quickly for SSG, but they're going to be playing the control game. Venom already popping Gadget, going straight for Chino right here, and he's going to be taken down with the help of Bobby. So we see the more control-oriented comp doing its job right now as Sans is going to pop that speed, moving up at a very quick pace to that next wall. Chino's got his super, but not really able to get anything onto the safe right now, but SSG is more than comfortable kind of just holding position here.
Yeah, Sans in the best spot of his life right there. Once you're in that little bit of a cubby there, along with the grass, you're able to get a lot of damage on the objective by just being there. Ooh. Venom goes in with that super, with a gadget. He gets taken down by Bobby, who's addressed him, and a lot of damage being doled out by SSG. Not a lot, just 10%, but it seemed like there was a lot more.
Ooh, Nerf barely going to survive that curveball from Bobby. He's doing a good job confirming these kills so far, but they just don't have the most safe damage unless they're able to get Chino on a breakaway, which is going to be what 919's worst nightmare is. They'll probably do anything to address that, but Chino's trying to get wiggly here with that extra speed from the star power with those music notes. Venom trying to go in and get a kill, but Sans backs away just in time. Chino's going to take that opportunity to go in. Not really too much damage coming down, but Bobby's able to land some of his own. We see about a 25% lead here, and they have not touched the safe of SSG yet.
Yeah, big kill on a Doodle, actually. That was huge. Venom's going to be pretty low. Use the hypercharge. Is he going to be able to find Chino? But Chino is close to his own hypercharge here. And it's still a great start for SSG. 27%. That means they've taken down one of the shields off the 919 safe. So it's progressively looking great for the side of Space Station.
Yeah, Venom's going to be trying to push up there, but Doodle's going to drop, and now Chino, every time we see a kill happen, Chino is taking that time to go in on the safe, and that's going to be the most damage we've seen come in yet. Chino is going to be absolutely cleaning up the safe. Sans and Bobby kind of all inning right here. That's going to be 2 shields popped within the matter of a couple of seconds. Somehow Chino does not die. After all that, he still didn't die at the end of the game, and that's going to be game number 1 going to SSG. Bobby showing off the muscles today, too. Love to see it.
Damn. Okay, wow. Okay. I was... Can't believe I said damn on stream. Okay, I was just looking at his backdrop. Bro has changed up his setup quite a lot. You see all of those foams and everything. That's pretty cool. Anyway, I got distracted. Good stuff from SSG in the first game. They looked like they were in... I wouldn't just say control, but they looked like the game plan was exactly... the script followed the game plan, let's say.
Yeah, 100%. And they're going to be trying to do the same thing right here, but we never saw 919 get a breakaway at all. Chino's going to be getting a lot of mobility with his dashes right there, but he is going to fall to Venom right here, and this might be the first chance for 919 to get a little bit of safe damage, but Sands is wiggling all of these clips from 8-Bit and Colt. I have no idea how they aren't able to touch him, but definitely not a good look. Bobby capitalizes there, gets 2 kills, and this is going to be full positioning going back to SSG. Likely going to get a little bit of safe damage to follow.
Indeed, Sands is going to hold this right lane here with just wiggling around there. Bobby, hypercharge on the safe, going to get a lot of damage. Just this 4250 shots are kind of crazy and huge, but he manages to take out Sands' only form of cover. So Sands is not going to have a good rest of the game. He's going to be taken out almost immediately with a hypercharge coming in from Venom. Venom on the hunt. He's going for Bobby, but Chino knows this. Chino's going to be there. He has his hypercharge as well. They are able to dispatch Venom here as well.
It's going to be a lot of damage coming in here, but it's going to be pretty much tied up so far. Doodle and Nerf not able to get any more than that. Thought they might be able to get the safe a little bit lower, maybe down to that first shield, but Venom is going in now. He's going to be able to quickly deal with Bobby, and now him and Doodle are going to be on the safe. Doodle is not able to deal with Chino, though. Once again, every single time we see Chino go in, he somehow does not die, even on the lowest amounts of HP, and those micro plays are just so big for SSG in a game as close as this.
Indeed, he doodled all over Doodle there. That was unfortunate for him. Bobby just tapping the loving daylights out of both Venom and I'm gonna stop talking now.
I'll take over for that then. Bobby's gonna be trying to deal with Doodle, but he survives on 65 HP somehow. Bobby's pretty weak in himself as well, but Sands is going to be trying to clean up here. Venom has hypercharge. He's going to one-shot Bobby, and he pops the gadget here. He's going for the safe. We're tied up at 48 apiece, but Venom is going to be kind of cleaning up right here. Bobby with the hypercharge jump away, but Nerf is going to pop his hyper as well. This is a lot of damage coming down. 919's looking like they're in position to win this somehow.
That is kind of crazy how things have changed here. There are 9 seconds. There needs to be another shield getting taken out. It has to get taken out now, but it's over. It's basically over. There is no way. What?
How did they get that damage?
That's crazy. Never say never.
Chino's different, man. Chino is different, man. That is a unexpected win after the way that game was unfolding right there. But SSG is going to come out on top. Definitely a pretty close call right there. 919's got to be feeling a little bit rough about that. The game was so thoroughly in their hands right there until the last 2 seconds. So it's definitely a tough pill to swallow if you're 919 dropping the set in that manner. But you know what? There's still another chance for them to come back on Kaboom Canyon. So they've got to be feeling good. Almost were able to take a game there, but SSG was able to hold it together.
Indeed. And I just felt like we saw a much cleaner game from SSG at the start, but then we just saw a complete turnaround coming in from their opponents, which was kind of unexpected. But 919, they showed us what they're made of, but Space Station somehow managing to get a very difficult dub.
Yeah, very difficult dub indeed. Seems like Bobby's not stressing about it too much, though, as we got a nice little extended clip of him after that win right there. Going into set number 2, though, it is going to be Kaboom Canyon, so we're going to have to see how the drafts go here. I mean, it seems like the side of 919 was pretty set on some of those ranged damage brawlers. I mean, the 8-Bit and the Colt definitely could find their way back here, but maybe they want to mix up the strategy a little bit. I like the Lily pick a lot here, too, so wouldn't be shocked to see that coming down, but I don't know, man. That seems like they have to have a little bit of a different strategy. I mean, I just don't think that the Colt 8-Bit, a little bit too much of the same medicine, in my opinion, right there.
Yeah, I feel like the draft we saw from 919 was a bit more classical, what you expect from Heist. Maybe in an earlier meta, it would have definitely been useful because the explosive damage that you can have with that composition is huge. But that's predicated on the fact that you're able to completely team wipe the enemy team, which they weren't able to do a lot of the time. So when they were able to do it, we saw how deadly that composition was. But the guaranteed waves of damage coming in time and time again from SSG was something that 919 could not contend with. We're going to go into Kaboom Canyon here. Our bans are going to be Belle, Tara, Amber, Melody, Lumi, and Angelo. Chuck, the train man, coming out first for 919, which means that SSG have to go for an all-in composition or something that can completely address the Chuck.
Yeah, definitely a little surprised to see the Chuck slip through here, but maybe we'll see SSG use the strategy that was employed earlier today where they kind of just go for the damage on their own end. We see the Carl is going to be the first pick for Space Station, so definitely a brawler that has a little bit of offensive and defensive capabilities. If you leave a Carl on your safe, though, he will punish you very quickly. So I like the idea from SSG. If they do end up in a base race, Carl is going to be invaluable. I'm trying to think of what else could be available here. I mean, Daryl is still open, Miko is still open, and it's going to be a Colette pick, actually. So we see the Colette come out before the Bonnie this time, I believe for the first time in our entirety of our games today. So I like the 2-3 from SSG. We're going to have to see if 919 goes for a little bit of control or if they're going to all in on the safe.
Yeah, guaranteed damage on the objective is so important. I feel like Colette can do that. Carl as well is pretty good at that, especially if you can hide on the corners. And SSG play most of their brawlers very aggressively, so you're probably going to see that happen and where they're going to be annoying with that Carl in the bottom right corner. And I feel like, especially with the Chuck there, it's going to be harder to address brawlers like Carl here. And Piper coming out for 919. I can understand the Piper on lane, but it's a brawler where its reload speed isn't that high, so a miss here and there or a successive set of misses means that you completely capitulate on the control of this mid and in terms of dictating the flow of the game. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword that Sphinx is going to be brought out last by 919.
Interesting seeing the Finks come out here. We did see Finks earlier today. I believe Gadget Spam pulled out the Finks, and it did not work too well for them. So I don't know. I feel like it's interesting strategy going with the Piper and the Finks. Like you said, if Piper is going to miss any shots, it's going to make her life very difficult. But she can take over if she's able to kind of hit all of those shots. And maybe that's why we saw the Finks come in, because they predicted the Miko coming in last pick. It does definitely have decent defense with the Finks, but the Miko is going to be a force of nature to contend with right there. A lot of damage on the side of both teams right here. It's kind of going to be a little bit of a race between the Monkey and the Train, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this one does play out. I feel like with the compositions that is presented to us, the Miko can do quite a number, because the Chuck is going to be, you know, very much getting addressed by one of the other brawlers and getting in a situation where he can't be used on the defense. And Bobby going to go in, gets a kill on a Venom with the help of Sands as well. This is a great start coming in from SSG. Doodle does put down one of his posts, but SSG are already looking at their intention. They're going in. They don't care that Doodle went in. They're going in on the safe on the other side. Sands is going to get a little bit of damage on Venom. He's trying to find his super. He finds the super. He's going to get a little bit of value. Not going to be using the super on the safe there. So great start from SSG all around. Chino is going to be a huge distraction. Nerf can't really do anything without help here.
Yeah, that's going to have to be two people to take out Chino right there, but Bobby is going straight for the safe right here. That's a lot of damage, already down to 50%, and it's going to be 5-6% every single time Bobby jumps too, so he's got to be dealt with sooner rather than later. Venom is going to be taken the long way back, and Doodle, while he does have his post set up, they are down by about 50-60%, so it's going to be pretty tough, and I feel like they're just one or two trips from Bobby to the safe away from taking this game away.
Indeed, it's looking really good for the side of SSG here, and Chino is going to go in along with Bobby, and I think that's going to be safe here. That's going to be game, and that is going to be match point for SSG. Not really sweaty.
That was a quick one, man. I'm not going to lie. The Monkey definitely outclassed the Train in that matchup. I mean, he never really seemed to get any pushback when he was pushing towards the safe right there. Like, he didn't have to waste too much time messing around. He was just on a straight beeline for the safe, and it worked out extremely well. So we'll have to see how 919 adapts defensively as we go into match point right here, Pin.
I gotta say that Carl pick was so good from SSG. It allows them to be very distracting. Either you go for Chino or you go for Bobby. You can't go for both because they're gonna be, you know, split pushes coming in. So time and time again, you're going to see either right lane or left lane pushes from either Bobby or Chino, with the odd defensive play coming in like Chino did right there. Now he goes in the right lane with his flying hook, goes in for the objective, manages to pop the shield as well. Beautiful stuff coming in from Space Station.
Yep, and here comes Bobby. He's got his next attack planned out here. He's going to take out Venom first and foremost, but him and Sands are both going to be pestering this safe right now. One shot away from getting it down to 50%. We see the first shield is knocked out of the way by Doodle over there on the Chuck. He somehow survives that too, so should be some significant damage coming in, but it's just not really going to be enough to deal with what SSG has to offer. That might just be game over right there. With the
Oh,
hypercharge from Chino, SSG is going to cleanly sweep 919 in our final game of the day. Very good bounce back after losing to LOC in day one of GKR. They absolutely sweep 919 to go 1-1.
yeah, this is the result that we expect from Space Station Gaming. The aura farming was real. Yes, they weren't up against the strongest of opponents in the world, but this is still a win which they needed for their confidence. So a straight 2-set victory for them is huge. So congratulations to Space Station Gaming and the boys. 919, I feel like they weren't wrong with a lot of their draft options. I think that there was a way forward for them to win it, but I feel like the conditions weren't satisfied for them to pick that draft, and especially since the meta doesn't really favor it.
Yep, it's a pretty cheesy heist meta right now, and I'm sure that after watching all these heist games today, you guys are all well aware of the type of brawlers that can make or break your comp in heist. But overall, SSG was able to make a little bit more happen with those picks, and that resulted in a pretty easy victory. But we saw 4 games today, guys. Code OG was able to beat Gadget Spam 2-1. Mori Gaming was able to get their first win of GKR. They won 2-1, and then Pioneers and SSG swept 2-0. So a lot of good games today. And as we take a look, we got day 3 coming up next week, guys. It's going to be Bounty, Panda.
Yeah, indeed. We have Kansas City Pioneers versus SSG. That looks like a very enticing one. LC Esports NA versus 919. Tribe Gaming versus Gadget Spam. That's also a really exciting match. Then we have FA versus Code OG. I believe that's going to be a free win already. I believe that they forfeited it, but I need more confirmation on that. It's Stamina versus Crumbs, and I couldn't see the last match, but I do have it in my notes, and it's going
Mori
to be...
Motomamis.
Yeah, Mori and Motomami. So a big ensemble of great matches on Bounty coming forward to you next week. If you guys have enjoyed the stream so far, make sure you guys subscribe to me. Make sure you subscribe to Duncan Brawl Stars. He makes content every single day. He's going to be streaming also once a week, and we might see more content from him in the future, but he is a name that you guys need to keep track of in the content scene for NA, and I guess even the casting scene, right? Because he is definitely a tier A caster for me. And one more thing, I guess, Kaze is out. We're getting the new Brawl Pass soon next week, so make sure you use code PAN in the shop if you're planning to buy any of these. It could be in any of the Super Solo games as well. Much appreciated for the support. Thank you to all the production people working behind the scenes to make this huge success. Thank you to the esports athletes participating, because without you we don't get to see the beautiful gameplay, and you, chat, for showing up, because you know we do this for you. We do it to entertain you, so thank you so much. And obviously thank you, Duncan, for showing up and being here today. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks for having me as always. Guys, if you're buying Kaze, make sure to use code PAN in the shop. Also, make sure to subscribe to me, guys. Once I get to 10k subs, we're bringing out the Hanbok Mandy cosplay. So if you want to stick around to see that, I got a little bit of a marketing for you guys. So make sure to sub to my channel, man. We'll be hitting that pretty soon, hopefully. But thank you again for having me, Panda. And hope you guys had a great time watching GKR today. We'll be back next Wednesday for Bounty.
Yeah, next week, same place, same time. Make sure you guys tune in for some more GKR action. Tomorrow, I have some esports action in the Indian region and Southeast Asia region, actually. So if you're interested in seeing that, please make sure to, drop on by. I would greatly appreciate it. It's not going to be with Duncan, though, unfortunately, which is, very sad. But thank you nonetheless to everybody who dropped by today. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week.